I'm sorry I'm late. I had to take my vitamins and then I had to start a new Zoom and it's been a day. But I'm here now. So what I want to do is go through some of the things because this profiler, like some of the questions that he asked her were spot on, plus the things that she said to answer him, and I want to go over those. So if you're new here, I like to take huge deep dives into stuff. I really wish we get the discovery soon, and I'm hopeful that maybe the reason the judge went through all that evidence is because they're going to release it to us now, and they want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Maybe. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know. Could be, might not be. Okay, let me get this up because I don't want to waste any more time. Let me go to full screen. Okay, and we're going to, so
that causes any of you to believe you could not continue to serve as
I want you to tell me you're going to work together with me.
That's not a friend.
Be together so we can write down everything, figure this out.
okay, this was her first.
But why?
This is her phone call. Now we found out today
why-
that there were a lot of phone calls that we didn't even hear. And I hope when they release the discovery, I want to hear them all. Hi, GB, and hi, everybody. I'm so sorry that I didn't say. Hi, Nellie. I see you now, Nellie. I couldn't see you in the other one. I don't know why. Hold on. Hi, Ann Rose. Hi, Barb Olson. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Debbie L. Hi, Deborah Vancouver. And hi, Easily Distracted. Hi, L. GB. Chris Ree 77. Crystal and Pam from CB12. Hello there. Christine Ferrara. How are you? Margot K. Nellie. Nicole. Nightbot. Sassy Darcy. Senrisa. And Teresa W. Welcome, welcome. Okay. So this call was, he said, I'm out on my lunch break. She started with her old stupid antics.
Is the safety of a child contingent upon anything other than finding him?
I can't help you if we're not together.
Yes, you can.
I can't do any of that together. The safety of a child.
I hate her connection so bad.
We have to write it down 10 freaking times and work through it. That's the safety. I beg for this.
But I still don't understand how you helping me with Gannon is contingent upon anything else.
Contingent. I am your wife. Did you file for divorce?
I am your wife. Did you file for divorce?
Did you?
No.
I didn't hear what you said.
cheating
What?
on me? No.
Did you file for divorce?
I told you that already. No. Do you want me to?
And this is Al's wife
No.
right here. I don't see
Are you
Landon
cheating
yet
on me?
today. Unless she's right over there.
Am I cheating on you? No. Listen, we need to focus on Gannon, okay? You told me you had.
Some big plan.
No, it's not. Yeah, it is. You're right. It's a big plan to find my son.
Amethyst
Absolutely.
on.
Okay, so listen to me. You made this, like you always do in these scenarios, you made it seem like we could fix this immediately. You got some big piece of information. Listen.
Listen to me and be open-minded in order to.
He came in late today.
You taking my side in order for it to even be working. Because if you go against me, you poke me, you be whatever, you try to do whatever, all these things.
Yeah, she's giving him like an ultimatum. You go against me, you fault me, you do this, all these things.
We can't get to what you need.
Okay, so but that's what I wanted you to say, because you just told me that finding Gannon is contingent upon what you getting what you want. You said if I don't buck you or don't be with you or don't sleep with you, yeah, that's what you said in essence, is that if I don't give you what you want, we don't find Gannon. So listen, but hold on, listen, I'm going back in now. I thought you had some emergency.
Number one, okay?
Okay, she does something really crazy now. Now she tells him she's got some kid in the car, and
Listen,
she's got
if you
it. She
tell
needs a
me
minute.
information I need to know on Gannon, like who took Gannon,
How much
or what
time does he
happened to
have?
Gannon,
She's going to
then
drive her.
we
She
talk
makes this
about
big thing. You
this
never
other
hear a
7
door
parts of your
slam. You
list,
never
okay?
hear a kid.
But number one is Gannon. Nothing happens for anybody in the rest of my life, period, until I get information about Gannon or find him. I thought you didn't have a car. Sounds like a car to me.
I told you I dropped these old people to burn some of the old vehicle because I don't have a license.
Can't
All
even
right, go
hear
ahead.
her.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ridiculous.
All right, number one. I need you to tell me that you have confidence and believe in me.
I don't know what
Okay.
the heck is my. Hold
Number
on.
1 on the list is Gannon. So,
Why is my screen like that?
okay, I believe in you and have confidence in you that you'll tell me the truth.
All right. Number one, find again. All right. So why come there hasn't been any kind of like locations, searches, anything outside of only where I went? That has to be the most concerning thing to you. Is that the first thing that has to be done?
Okay, so she's
I'm
got
trying
more
to
lies.
question you. I just want to know if I knew the church or the pastor or anything.
Sorry, I'm literally turning in
She's turning in.
right now.
Yeah, that's a
You
bunch
go
of.
through the whole entire thing.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay? So I sit there. I was playing with these period pad things because apparently dogs have periods. Okay? So I'm holding the thing, and I sat there and I said, alarm, just for the alarm to go off. Like, whatever. That was for the alarm to go off.
Ding, whatever.
Maybe I was being too superstitious. I just was being whatever. I don't know. Okay?
Sorry.
And now you're yawning?
Listen, I don't sleep good at night. I haven't for years, you know that. So go ahead.
Albert, I was supposed to, deliver papers.
Deliver papers.
Deliver
I couldn't do it, Albert.
papers for what?
What?
Tisha?
Deliver papers.
When I went to Nevada, there was this pregnant lady. So I agreed to help the pregnant lady because she was really, really pregnant.
Now, see, with somebody like her, she would not do well with somebody like me because I'd be like, wait a minute. When you went to Nevada, that's Nevada Street where Petco is. What do you mean there was a pregnant lady? Where was the pregnant lady? See, I just couldn't listen to her. This is the way that I am. Where was the pregnant lady? And if she says the pregnant lady was in the room, well, how did she talk to you? Well, I rolled down my window to talk to her. How did she get into your car? Like, there's so much stuff. He just knows she's lying. But I would just put her on the freaking spot. And I can't with somebody like this.
She gets in the car, which is why Gannon was not in the front seat. He was in the back seat.
You said, wait, you said when you went to Nevada?
Went through Nevada.
Oh. I'm like, what? You're in Nevada? Anyways, go ahead.
Right. When I realized she's not pregnant.
Now, I would have said, how did you realize she wasn't pregnant? How did that realization come about?
Once she gets in the car.
How?
Was this the same lady that was following you?
I don't know if they were following us. I just know there was a car following us. When I get off, I turn where Harley gets the eyelashes done. Because
What kind of car was following you? How do you know it was following you? Where did it go when you turned into Petco?
I thought I would lose them. Then I saw a pregnant lady. She looked legit like 8 months pregnant.
What kind of car was following you? Because maybe they can't.
He told you this 15 times.
Oh, okay.
It was it was a blue something. like a blue little car, like a Cooper or something like this.
Okay, so like a blue, not red, right? Just a blue one.
No, it was the red earlier in the day was nothing. It's already been checked out.
Okay.
It's already been
All right.
checked out? By who? Who checked it out? Who did you call and report it to? So I can go down and get a police report that's going to tell me they checked out a car that was following you and you put a report in? That's what I would say.
The reason I know that one's been checked out is because I had somebody in Lorson Ranch do it.
Who did it in Lorson Ranch? A police officer? Somebody with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office? Who did it? What do you mean somebody in Lorson Ranch checked it out?
All right. I'm just making sure. I make sure I keep these cars straight. So there's the blue one, not the red one.
See, I'm
No, don't get upset. Don't get upset. I'm just trying to get it straight. I'm not picking holes in your story. I'm just making sure we're on the blue car. Okay. So now back to the pregnant lady that gets in the front seat.
So the pregnant lady gets in the front seat, but she's not really pregnant.
How do you know?
I don't know that she's not really pregnant, but she says she just needs a ride.
You just said you knew she's not really pregnant.
Feel bad.
See, she just lied. Right there, she just lied. A minute ago, she said, when she got in the car, I knew she wasn't really pregnant. Now she just said, I didn't know she wasn't really pregnant, but she said she just needed a ride.
Look really, really pregnant, like 8 months.
I said, I'm just listening.
You know what? I'm not going to help if you're going to do this to me.
Oh, shut up.
Listening and believing?
I really came in this to be honest with you.
Okay, and I'm just listening.
You're not honest. You've
No,
never
you
been
are.
honest.
You're being a dick by saying, That's being a dick to me.
Oh, you're lying and you killed this kid.
I don't know why you're saying that, but does the pregnant lady know what happened to G? Does she know where Gannon went?
Can I finish?
Yeah, absolutely.
She wasn't really pregnant. She had about, I don't even know how much money inside of this thing that makes her look pregnant.
How do you know? How do you know?
So you know where my mind immediately goes?
Where?
No.
What would you think a pregnant person disguising as pregnant but money in her belly means?
She probably robbed a bank.
Okay, she might have.
Or I am.
She could be involved in something crazy, right?
Yeah. I would be scared of myself, even if it was a woman.
Yeah, because that's pretty scary, right? You're making fun
Yeah,
of this like
really
it's
No,
scary.
I'm not. If somebody got in my truck with
Yeah.
a pregnant belly full of cash,
pregnant
I'd
belly
be
full
worried
of
to
cash.
death.
It's scary.
You're right.
You're right. She's probably in the cartel. Come on, crazy. These pauses.
I don't know. I don't know how else to help other than to know we were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, the wrong place
Okay.
at the wrong
You talking
time.
about Petco?
Yes, because Petco, I just was supposed to walk in Petco, look around, be normal.
You were supposed to walk in Petco, walk around, be normal? Why? Who told you that? The lady with the pregnant belly? Okay, that's why you were there, right?
So
Okay.
drop this lady off somewhere.
Oh, so she told you to walk into Petco?
Yes.
Oh,
Drop the lady off
She
somewhere.
forced me.
She
okay.
forced you. How?
Okay.
How'd she force you?
Did she have a weapon, like a gun or a knife or something that, like...
Did she
threaten
walk
you
in
or
there
what?
with you with something to your back?
How do you think someone would force you?
With a gun to your
No,
back?
you're a tough girl, so I'm just going to take a lot. That's what I'm trying to say. If somebody...
Tough girl.
Yeah. I don't think you'd be scared.
You got
easy
in the
by
store by
somebody like
yourself. You could have told the employees that call
That's
the
just what I'm
police.
saying. You probably start swinging unless she had a gun or a knife or something.
She
This
forced
is
you.
a joke to you.
No, I'm
No,
serious.
it's
I'm
a
trying
joke to you. You're a
I'm trying
liar.
to-
You finally are getting like legit, and it's a
You're
joke.
not getting
to you.
legit anything. You're getting nothing but lies.
I'm sorry you think that, but go ahead.
I'm not. Forget it, man. You're not wanting to stand by my side. You don't
Oh
want
my
to help.
gosh.
I'm right here
Stanford.
standing by your side, listening to the truth. Okay, I'm in believe teacher mode, like I told you.
Yeah, and then what you're gonna do? Tell me I'm telling a lie and hang up?
Are you telling a lie?
No, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to believe it. I told you it was beyond your wildest imagination to know he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, okay.
He was in the wrong place, or y'all were in the wrong place? Okay. We was in the wrong place. Okay. All right.
No, Letecia.
I mean, are you telling me this? I don't know. You want me to believe you, but I feel like you're just telling me something to make me feel better about Gannon missing. Okay. So, I mean, because it was kind of like the Quincy Brown thing. I mean, now it's a pregnant lady with cash in her belly. Okay, I believe you. What's next? What happened next?
Now you're making silly.
No, I'm trying to make sense of all of it. Okay, you want me to believe you? I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Tell me the rest of the story.
Albert, to sum it up, it's just being caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time with people who are money laundering, me or whoever they can get to deliver paper to these Mexican restaurants. And you're supposed to get packages back from them.
Deliver
and
paper.
I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it.
So that's why we were on County Line Road, because I was scared to death.
Scared to death.
I left.
What happened to the pregnant lady that was sitting in your car?
So I was going round and round and round to make sure that no car followed me.
What the hell? Where's the No. Where's the pregnant lady? Where's the pregnant lady that's in your car? I feel like this is a dream I had somewhere. Where is she, Tisha? How'd you get rid of the pregnant lady with all the money? You're driving round and round and round where, making sure you're not followed? Why didn't you go to the police station, Tisha? So crazy, right?
So is that where they were trying to send you, or you just went there because you knew that was out in the boonies?
No, because 25, I got on Interstate 25 and it was backed up.
Oh, so you did like we did that one time. And
Interstate 25 is backed up.
With nothing to do with whatever. They've already searched the entire area. I'm innocent.
Is her lawyer laughing? I thought he just cracked up laughing. Will.
That's who has Gannon, okay?
The pregnant lady with the cash?
No, whoever has proof, because I've already given it to the Mexican guy. Why do you think I told you that about the Quincy thing? Because the whole Mexico.
What Mexican
We
guy?
need to be looking at any routes going
What is
into
she
Mexico.
talking
and
about?
I've been telling you this.
No, but okay, all right. I'm out of believe Tisha mode now, okay? Because you told me Quincy Brown was in Colorado Springs. His family told your news reporter that he's in Mexico, okay? You didn't know that beforehand. And of course, you have nothing to say about that. I'll talk to you later.
What a joke. Okay. Lunatic. Okay.
With People's Exhibit 354 is just keep Mr. Grussy on the stand, play portions based on questions that I'm asking. Obviously, the whole interview is in evidence, Judge.
All right, go ahead.
Now, I'm amazed at how calm, cool, and collected she is over here, right?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
And this is in Myrtle Beach, because I know a lot of you. She was arrested March 2nd, 2020.
You can pull that chair back a little bit.
And I don't know if she doesn't have shoes on, but it certainly looks like it.
We are going to record this.
Mm-hmm.
And Judge,
We are
I'm
gonna
wondering if
pose.
we can check with the jurors to see. This one's a little quieter than the other recorded phone calls, if they can hear this okay.
The other thing is, it sounds as though your plan is to play part of this and then stop it and ask questions during part of it.
That's right. Yeah, I'll do this throughout, Judge.
Okay. I think for the purposes of the record to remain clear, you just
Do
need
you
to
have-
identify the timestamp where you're stopping.
Yeah, I will. Yep.
These rooms
Not
look
as loud
so
as I can
weird,
make
don't
it.
they?
Okay,
If
let's
you're
see.
claustrophobic, they
What's
must
the
be.
text again?
You all hear it okay?
They have all that soundproofing on them with the
So
two-way
Keith,
mirror.
John Grusing with the FBI, met you in the mall parking lot. Do you know why you're here? Did they inform you, the officers, of why you're under arrest?
I'm under arrest.
Yes.
I'm under arrest. She goes like this. I'm under arrest? For what? I'm under arrest? For what?
For Gannon Stauch. A warrant was issued out of Colorado.
Okay, but no, someone could have just called me. They seen I would.
Did you? Someone could have just called me, let me know. Oh, okay. Yeah, we could have, I guess. So then maybe you could have put on a pot of coffee or something.
Yeah, and apologize for that. Because of the nature of the warrant, it being a murder warrant, there's, and that's what I'd like to talk with you about today. That's why we're not having a cast of thousands here and whatever, is we would like to get to the bottom of what happened there. I know that a lot of things have gone on with your life, a little bit of how this turns out. Okay, but
Okay.
because you were arrested, you're not free to leave. I need you to sign an advice of rights before we can talk.
Well, I mean, so I'm getting charged with what now?
So you were charged in, the judge in Colorado Springs signed off. So the way this case worked was El Paso County got the original case. They didn't have enough manpower to work it.
Okay.
So they called the FBI.
Right.
Part of for the FBI, I'm an extension of the profiling unit, and I came in and assisted. And I've been helping for about the last 3 weeks.
Okay.
So our
Okay.
evidence response team, you've probably seen that on the news, we've been doing some searches, et cetera. And then other FBI agents have been writing warrants.
All right.
So a lot of warrants have been written. We've gone through the court. El Paso Sheriff's Office and FBI have worked together.
Okay.
And we found enough, you call it probable cause,
Okay.
for a warrant to be issued. So that's why you're here today.
Okay, I warrant for what though?
It was
What?
for the murder.
What
of
murder?
Gannon Stauch.
So Gannon is murdered.
So Gannon was
That's what the
murdered?
evidence shows.
Okay.
And I'm happy to
Okay.
share with you evidence, but we can't have a conversation unless you're advised of your rights.
So what am I right?
Yeah, so Gannon was murdered? That's the evidence shows. Okay.
So this is an advice of rights form. I'll fill it out at the top. And you don't have to answer any question.
Oh, I am.
Okay, so I'm not going to force you to answer anything. If you want this interview to be done, it's done.
So she
Where
wants to
is-
talk to this guy. I am, she says, going to answer the questions.
Okay.
She's not thinking, oh crap, I'm never going to see the light of day again. She's not thinking like normal things, right? Thinking like, I'll just talk my way out of this.
So I'd like you to initial these as we go through them. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions. You have the right to have a lawyer with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before questioning if you wish. And if you decide to answer questions without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering at any time. I'm not going to force you to say anything.
Okay, so I had already had reached an attorney, but all the information.
So it's up to you. I'm not going to force you to say
I
anything.
mean,
If you don't
I
want to,
can talk to you, but I mean, the last time I asked for an attorney talking to them, I wasn't allowed that after I asked.
that's not how this is going to go. This would be
And
a
I believe you have more
conversation.
integrity being FBI that you would do that.
I've got a family
Oh,
to
he-
protect,
he-
so I'm not going to violate
He has
any-
more
don't
integrity.
mind
She's
that
telling him
at
they
all.
didn't let her,
If
But
you-
at any point, I would like to call my attorney if
Yes,
I feel
ma'am.
like. Is that okay?
That is okay.
Okay, so can I write that in somewhere or?
Well, that's this one right here. If you decide to answer any questions, have a lawyer
don't have to
present,
write it
you have
in,
the right
Tisha.
to stop at any
Okay.
time. So, and if you need food, water, whatever else,
I don't.
this is not, we're not going to have people with guns standing outside trying to
I don't.
intimidate you. I want this to be your statements in
Okay.
our conversation.
you should get your food and water. You're not going to get much of it. Get a Hot Pocket. He knows she's looking for an ally, and he's using it.
So I was thinking of a lot of things to say to you today because I've been helping, I've been involved. I've unfortunately worked a lot of missing kids cases. That's why they called me to do this.
Okay.
A lot of time with Mark, who was the dad. Dylan, who actually was in Colorado Springs with Mom.
Mm-hmm.
Went to go see Dad. This was in November of 2012.
Right.
And then he disappeared. It's a lot like what happened here. What I think happened.
He's telling her about that he's worked a lot of missing kids cases, and then he tells her about another case in Colorado, Dylan Redwine, and Dylan went to stay with his dad, and it's kind of like this case.
Happened with Mark, his friend, and Mark wouldn't let him go.
Okay.
And I think Mark got upset. I think Dylan did some things that irritated Mark. I think there was just a punch in the face sort of thing.
Right.
And things went downhill from there.
Well,
And I think it's really key that he says something there. What did you notice that he did right there? What did you notice? He said, Mark, the kid wanted to go do something. Mark, punched him in the face, and things went downhill from there. What did you notice? No, he was a very experienced. He had a method. So he used her language. Remember her phone call when she told Al things went downhill from there? He used her language to relate to her. Yes, Sunkist. Yes, right.
And I'm not saying
I
that's
just
what
want to
happened
say
with
to
you.
you, I can help you because what you're charging me with is not.
But see what she does? She's not going to sit for it. She wants to take control of him. So now she's like, I'm here to help you. I want to help you.
Or whoever is not the case. Gannon is alive. Okay, and I can help you.
Gannon is alive,
But
and I
see,
can
here's
help
the
you.
problem. When I reached out to people about getting help, I said, hey, I need someone who's going to help me to help you guys. I couldn't get that from anyone at all.
We're happy to help you.
Okay, so I understand you might say you have whatever evidence that you might say you have, but that's not a case. It did not hurt my child.
Okay. I understand you might have whatever evidence you might have, but it's not the case. I did not hurt my child. She's telling the truth there. Her child is Harley. She did not hurt her child.
Okay, need more assistance besides FBI. You're probably going to need some CDA. Probably need a lot of help.
I'm happy to get whatever help.
Okay.
How do you know?
But I
alive?
can't help you unless people are willing to help me. And I did offer every opportunity to sit down and talk with not only my husband, but with Landon to try to come up with the best plan to do it. I really did. And I've been begging every single day, please, please, please don't say this. Okay?
She is so helpful. She's begging every day. She's been begging. She's been wanting to speak with Landon and with her husband, with everybody, just to help. She just wants to help.
You, I know you're expert in your field, okay? I know you may say you have whatever evidence you have, but it's just not true, okay?
You're an expert, but it's just not
It's
true.
not true that Gannon's dead.
I'm not going to sit here and say 100%. I can tell you that there's really things that wouldn't have occurred that I can help you guys with to know that. And it leads back to some things just being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
The wrong place at the wrong
truth.
time, but I can lead it back
That
to you
is
that
very
he's
true.
not dead.
And every day that went by, I had to do nothing but not only protect myself, but protect my family in this, protect other people in this. And that's just what it's been.
I think our biggest problem is what happened at the house then.
At the house?
Yes.
Well, there's nothing that would have happened at the house that has anything to do with what I'm talking about.
Nothing that would have happened at the house.
That has
Nothing.
nothing to do with anything.
Nothing to do with anything.
Because you guys have clearly put out this information about Gannon not coming home and then this and that and the other. And I get, like I said, you're expert.
This and that and the other.
But it's just not the truth. It's not the truth.
Not the truth.
And until I know that I got to get help from some people other than someone just having me in a room.
You've got to get help to do that.
I got to get help to give everyone what they need because I'm going to need my mom protected.
Got to get her mom protected.
Brother and
Get her
sister
brother and
protected.
sisters
And
protected.
most importantly,
Get
Harley
Harley,
protected.
most importantly,
And on
protected.
that same note, I'm also going to need other people in Colorado.
And then she's going to need other people in
And
Colorado
people say
protected.
FBI can offer that protection.
You can.
How?
If it involves
Does it
an
mean-
11-year-old, if it involves finding an 11-year-old, then we can.
And it means that we can have new identities.
New
It
identities.
does. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Tried to do that before. We call it an informant, but we can do it for. We can
How
do
do I
it
know
for the
that
general
you're
people. Who else would you trust?
New identities.
No, like, sir, I don't know. There's nothing that happened at any house. Nothing
There's nothing that
happened
happened in any house.
that
None.
would have hurt, harmed, murdered, done anything to anyone.
Would have hurt, harmed, murdered, or done any harm to
Wrong
anyone.
time.
You were in the wrong place, or Gannon was?
I was.
She was
What
in the
about
wrong
Gannon?
place.
We all were in the wrong place. Even my family was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even Lena, even Harley. Okay?
Even
All
Harley.
in the wrong place. at
She was in the
time.
wrong place at the wrong time. Her family.
And I
Oh.
swear to you on that.
So
But I gotta get
just like
help.
you have trust issues, let me tell you where I am.
Okay.
So I'm with the FBI, where when a child goes missing, if they're underage,
Right.
then we can get involved, and it can be even a kidnapping. So if Gannon is moved from one point to another without his, will, then it's a child kidnapping.
Right.
And so that's what we're working with as. And with me as a federal employee,
Mhm.
with me working a federal case, because right now it's filed with the district attorney,
Right.
but the U.S. attorney could file it as well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
What do you mean?
The U.S.
Here we go.
attorney is the federal
Okay.
prosecutors.
Gotcha.
Right now it's on the state. When you're talking to me, we are recording this for your integrity and mine.
Right.
But if you'd rather not say something, if I would rather you just say I don't want to answer it instead of telling me something that's not true.
Now he's going to tell her if
Because
you
there's something
say
called
I'm not going to
false statement,
answer it
which is
because if
about
you
the
tell me
US
a
Code
lie,
1001, to where if
you're
you
gonna
lie
be
to us
charged
during
for
an
that.
investigation, that can be a year of prison time.
Right.
So that's why I said on this last one, if you want to not answer a question, I'm not going to push you.
Okay.
Okay, so with these people, taking Gannon or whatever else, if it's not true, just say I'd rather not answer that.
right?
Okay, because we're different than your local detectives and whatever else. It's not a felony to lie to them.
Okay.
Okay, so my goal though is to find Gannon.
Right.
And if you need protection, if there truly is someone out there, we can provide that.
Right.
That's not me lying.
Happen though, I will need you to explain what happened from that night,
Which night?
Which
the
night?
night that he disappeared.
So I've stopped it at 12 minutes, Judge.
So ridiculous.
Just as a pause. In the beginning portion of that, Mr. Grusing, when you're advising her that she's been charged with murder, it appears that she acts like she's confused. What was your impression of that?
Yeah, so eventually she asked me, so Gannon's been murdered, but yeah, she appeared to be confused as to why she was there and what investigation might have been going on at the time.
She makes a statement, you could have just called me.
Yes.
Was that basically indicating that could have just called her and she would have come in and talked?
Yeah, and that's something I've heard multiple times over my career of why didn't you just call me instead of I have to be arrested for this?
Were you aware that very early on in this investigation, she was resisting calls from Detective Bethel to come in and give an interview?
I was.
She makes a statement that she's been begging every single day for somebody to help her and says stuff like, I can't help if you don't help me. What was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I think I could couple that with when she said that she would need even more help than the FBI could provide, whether it's DEA. And then she rolled into she needs secret identities for herself and multiple people. I think she was giving me a task that she thought I couldn't meet, and therefore she might not have to talk about difficult things.
Is the FBI equipped to do those things for witnesses that need protection?
We are. It takes a very extraordinary circumstance, but they could if they had to.
Okay, so I guess the question is if that was actually necessary here, could the FBI have provided that?
Yes,
So you were the right person to talk to if that was the eventuality?
I could get the right person for her.
Okay. You're not omnipotent.
No.
I want to jump into the next section. Did you have a chance to talk with her about the calls that we'd gone over, those consensual recorded calls?
Yes.
I'm going to jump to 12 minutes and 30 seconds, Judge. I can find my mouse on the screen. There it is.
Okay, now watch. She had a plan.
It's actually 12 minutes and 33 seconds. I can't get that 3 to cooperate with me.
You mean like talking to him? Oh, okay. So let me just explain that to you. And you might think that's like super, like
I'm not going to
whatever,
judge you here. Letecia.
whatever. To him was the reason I already knew someone was listening,
She knew.
but because of him not ever like being like supportive, and I tried originally to talk to him when he first got there, that was the only reason I said those things to him, was just because I was out of anger and out of like her.
The only reason she said those things in the phone calls because she knew somebody was working with him, and she was just saying them out of anger.
I'm sitting here going to tell you these. That was just anger, stupidity.
Council approach, please.
Stupidity.
Paused at 13 minutes and 11 seconds. Picking back up from where we left off, it's at
Trisha, he was
13 minutes
alive
and
to
11
the end.
seconds
He had
and playing again
defensive
from there.
wounds.
And I already knew, like, if you heard it, you heard me say a lot of times, I know people are listening because I know at the same time that someone called, every time I could hear people.
Right.
I knew that.
She knew
So
everything.
Me saying those things to him was just being, what is the word you want to call it? Selfish or facetious.
Thank you,
whatever
Kelly
you
B,
wanna
for
call
being
it,
a member
just
for
because
17
that
months. Good to see you.
I was hurt by him not wanting to work together to figure this out.
So,
'Cause I
if
did
you
have,
remember,
like,
this
originally
investigator said one
initial-
of her main things, okay, you'll hear is that she's hurt that Al was not standing by her. She hurt that Al had other people in the house. She's hurt that Al, she thinks, was choosing Landon. She's hurt on all that. So she's saying that she knew that he was working with someone, and all of her things she told him, she was just trying to get him mad.
different thoughts on certain things, and that was me trying to like basically read him and try to figure the situation out. So
Read
I
him
listened to
and figure the
different
situation
things
out.
and whatever you may have heard.
And
that's
whatever.
Because that totally was not. That was not me trying to be.
Right.
That was just the.
That was not her trying to be deceptive or anything. She was just,
So, and it's paused right now at 13 minutes and 59 seconds. Mr. Grusing, what were your impressions of her saying that she's giving all this misleading information in those phone calls because she's just angry?
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to comment besides that. Instead of being focused like Al was and the rest of us of trying to find what happened to an 11-year-old boy, she was again focusing on her feelings.
Does it also, though, show potentially that it's very calculated, that she's doing things in response to what's happening in the investigation?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. and then we'll just play from here until 15 minutes and 42 seconds. In this particular section, do you remember asking her about mental health and sound mind and those types of things?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll play starting here and go to 15 minutes and 42 seconds.
In regards to that, were you of sound mind? I mean, did you have, are you undergoing any treatment for anxiety or any depression or anything like that right now?
I mean, like, you mean, like, I don't,
I mean-
I've had anxiety since I was, like, 16, 17 -ish. But, like, as far as, like, undergoing, like, any kind of special treatment, you know, like, sometimes I might have to take, like, lorazepam.
She might have to take a lorazepam
But, I didn't see, like, counselor.
for her anxiety.
Anything for any depression. And then plus two, like, right now, with medical records, I'm 8 weeks pregnant, so I can't.
She's 8 weeks pregnant. She can't take anything now.
Like, I mean, I wish I could, because then it would help a lot with anxiety.
She wish she could, but, you know,
But I can't.
she's 8 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
But
So you were of sound mind when you were talking to Al. You were upset with him and upset with the situation of him not being by your side through this whole thing.
Right, but then at the same time, like, I have to sit back and think, you know, in a person's brain, you hear 100 different things, you do whatever. I just wanted him to know,
Whatever.
because he knows. Like, I've been taking care of our kids, like, for so long. Like, I'm not here to bash either one of them. They had a lot of different separate situations going on that I've always taken care of the kids. And so there's been times I've protected them from so many people. You know,
She protected them from the kids,
So
from
it's
so
now
many
paused
people.
again at 15
She took
minutes
care
and
of them
42 seconds.
while he was away
Why are
doing,
you
you know,
asking these
whatever.
types of questions about sound mind and mental health based questions?
Well, I spoke with the district attorney's office before the interview, and they suggested that I ask them. I don't always ask these of people that I'm interviewing, but because of the varying stories and because of the district attorney's office and investigators looking forward to trial, we wanted to make sure that she knew what she was doing while she was talking to Al during our investigation, and then while I was even talking to her at the present.
When these types of investigations are ongoing, is the investigation goal to try to build a case that will plead out, or do you have to assume that it will go to trial?
We assume that it'll go to trial.
You asked her, was she sound mind during this time? Do you remember what her response was in that?
She said that, well, I can't remember right after that, but she referenced the reason why she was doing what she was doing to Al was to make him come back to her in the relationship, basically.
In that particular call, or I'm sorry, in that particular portion of the interview, it's at 15 minutes exactly when you ask about, were you sound mind? And she says, right.
Yes.
And then she goes into that description of taking care of the kids. Does this start to build in your mind when we talk about that pattern of behavior and then that pathway to violence that you talked about? I haven't gotten to the question yet.
I was going to say, let's get all the way to the end of the first, and then we'll see whether it's leading or not.
Does that information that she's giving you there build into that grievance portion of that pathway to violence?
Yes.
In what way?
She was articulating that in her mind, she felt like she was a good mother and she was a good caretaker for Gannon. And that she had, over the phone calls, expressed multiple grievances. And we actually addressed that later on in the interview when we go through her phone searches. We go into more of the grievance portion later, but just that she brought up her being the caretaker initially is something that we addressed later on in the interview.
Yeah. Do you remember asking her about what kind of dad Al is to Gannon?
I don't at this
Okay.
point.
Well, let's jump to that portion of the interview starting at 15 minutes and
Okay,
53
she's gonna answer
seconds.
what kind of dad he is.
I'm actually going to jump to 15 minutes and 49 seconds, and we'll play it to 17 minutes and 10 seconds.
Like I've had to step in and protect them a lot, so many times.
What kind of dad would you say Al was to Gannon or is to Gannon?
Oh, he's a good dad. Like, I mean, as far as like being like there for him and like, you know, how can I say it? Like, if he says, hey, I want to go do something, Albert works a lot, so he's tired and his hours are like kind of, you know, up in the air here and there. But for the most part, he like is always trying to make sure he put, you know, like the kids, military first, and always will be, and that's the mindset. And then
Did you go into the marriage knowing
the
that?
kids.
That military
Well,
was first?
I grew up like knowing that my stepdad was here. Actually, that's why I was looking at that guy's name. But my stepdad was here. So I lived on. So, like, I maybe didn't understand it from parent perspective. I mean, I'm sorry, spouse perspective, like my mom's
So
perspective.
she doesn't mention
But
that
I
her
did
stepdad was
understand it from, like, a
abusive.
child
She
perspective.
understood that
But
the
thing about it
military's
was,
first.
Albert didn't have to like go to deploy. Or
Albert,
anything
you
like
know,
that.
was a good
It was
dad.
mostly, like work through the night type thing. So it was like we were blessed in that way of not having
And blessed that he didn't have to be deployed.
have to see him go overseas or something like that.
Right.
So when you're asking her about how Al is to Gannon as a father, she references that she grew up in as a military child as well.
Correct.
She mentions her stepdad. At any point, either during the phone calls or up to this point in the interview, did she ever mention any abuse by stepdad?
She did not.
In that last section that we heard where you're asking her about being in sound mind, she mentioned having anxiety and taking lorazepam. Did she mention anything during that section of this interview about having any severe mental health disorders or diseases?
No.
Did she ever mention being in treatment for extended periods of time for any mental health issues?
No.
Did she ever mention losing consciousness and not showing up someplace else that she didn't recognize?
No.
Did you go over family history with her during this interview?
Yes.
So let's watch that next, and it's essentially 17 minutes and 12 seconds to 21 minutes and 20 seconds.
And you guys have been married 6 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. And you came to the marriage with Harley,
Right.
and then Elena's the youngest.
Right. And then we had like maybe I think 4 or 5 went to like kind of midterm miscarriages because we always tried to like have kids, and I don't know, like
Listen to what she just said. Midterm miscarriages. Is that even true? I don't think so. Let me listen to that again.
And you guys have been married 6 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. And you came to the marriage with Harley,
Right.
and then Elena's the youngest.
Right. And then we had like maybe I think 4 or 5 went to like kind of midterm miscarriages because we always tried to like have kids, and I don't know, like something must have happened, like
4 or 5, 2 of them midterm miscarriages, because we're always trying to have kids, but then something must have happened.
and I get to a certain point.
She gets so upset.
More kids.
Right.
But yeah.
Do you think Al was faithful to you? Was he cheating on you?
I don't like. We never had like any conversations until like, of course, now, like recently. But like prior to that, we never had like like buses, or it might be something like Albert's type of person. When he got work, he just liked to come home. He wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go do this with people. He just that was the best part because he wasn't. You know, like, not saying you can't, like, I'm sure you might say if a football game.
Yeah, she didn't worry about him cheating.
You know, which was different.
Right.
Usually, for the most part, we do it together,
They do things together.
do something together, but it was never really like having our own people that we did things with. But we never like had issues of anything like that. Most
Never
of the
had
time,
issues.
the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here. A lot of times, they would celebrate and leave again. But he would always say, well, I have to, I'm obligated.
So you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing?
But times they were going to break our own people that we did things with. We never like had issues or anything like that. Most of the time, the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here. A lot of times they were going to break and we would.
Can anybody hear what she says? I didn't want the kids to come here. Can you hear that? Because I heard that this afternoon, and I have a very hard time hearing that, what she said.
You know, which was different.
Right.
Usually, for the most part, we do it together, do something together, but it was never really like having our own people that we did things with. So we never like had issues or anything like that. Most of the time, the issues that we always had was I never wanted the kids to ever come back here. A lot of times they were going to break and leave again. But he would always say, well, I have to, I'm obligated.
So you don't think he was cheating on you prior to this whole thing going on?
I didn't want the kids here
to
come
did
here.
you
That's what I think
suspect
she's saying.
That Albert was cheating?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, there's been times in the past where I saw that he's talked to other women, you know, like on messages and things like that.
I thought he
But
talks
then
to
he's
other
also,
women.
like, you guys have my phone. In the past, he would have saw that he's always apologized for.
He's always apologized.
Were you guys considering divorce or no? You and Albert?
I didn't know anything about any kind of divorce. Like, I know, like, we've used the term loosely.
They use the term divorce
there was a lot
loosely.
of stress having to deal with like, situation with Landon. There was a lot of stress.
Situation with Landon was a lot of stress.
We fought so hard and so long to get kids to like a safe
They fought so hard to get the kids.
situation, so it was very hard to like. You've read someone and they're so emotionally like upset about the kids not being with us and we not being able to protect them that it was kind of hard. It took a lot, you know, toll throughout that time frame of like Alaska, time in Alaska. So during that time in Alaska and stuff, it was very hard to like have to see him be so upset from so many miles away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get calls that the kids didn't have a place to stay. We get calls that there were guns in the back of their car and people would be arrested. And, you know, so that took its toll in the terms of like figuring we should not have to like go through these things. But then once like we got to Colorado, you know, we all could be in like one place. And then it was like kind of, at first it was like kind of hard because we've been, you know, back and forth to Alaska for so long. Because, you know, if you know the background, I had the kids here for their school year for Gannon and Lena. So it was Lena's, was it first grade year? Again, fourth grade year. Yeah. So they would have went to school here. So I had them here with us then. Still with that, it was us like being apart, going back and forth, traveling on holidays, things like that. So that would have been the most. You know, just by the time, like, so when we got to Colorado, it was just like, okay, we're here. You know, we are together. And we said stupid things to each other. Like, but, like, the things that we could do to be like, okay, we'll forget all this. Or
We said stupid things to each other.
Right.
But silly stuff.
So it's paused at 21:20. And before I jump into these next questions, just noticing the time, do you want me to go to about 10:30 and then?
It's up to you. I was actually just gonna say whenever you could find a break in the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Okay, sounds good. This particular section, Mr. Grusing, was she able to recount details over this 5-year period that her and Mr. Stauch had been together?
Yes.
Did she indicate any trouble remembering these details?
No.
Did she also even give you recounting silly arguments that they would have, that kind of thing?
Yes, she did.
Did that indicate to you that she appeared to be able to recall things fairly easily?
Yes.
Do you remember talking with her about where she starts talking about people are being upset and she uses the words hard part, this is the hard part?
Yes.
Okay, let's go ahead and watch that section. And this is from 2345 to 2551.
Come on.
I'm actually going to start at 2335, and then we'll go to 2551.
From a distance going through that, because I still deal with dads 14 years later who are looking for their daughters at bus stops and malls and whatever. So,
And see, that's the hard part is like, people are like, you know, being upset. And I'm like, I haven't had the opportunity to like even just sit down and be like, okay, well, I've given my life to take care of these children. I have.
She's given her life to take care of these children. She hasn't even had time
You
to
know,
sit down and be upset.
I've done that. And it's so
She's done
hard
that.
because inside that, I don't get to express that emotion to have it, you know, to say to anyone, anything like that. No. It was difficult because I've had to just be like, how can I make the situation back, you know, let's be honest.
I'm John. By the way.
John.
Yeah.
I mean, like Albert was talking about, and again, whether you make mistakes. I mean, literally, woke up on Christmas. I always make it about the kids on Christmas because they don't get to spend Christmas with them. So
She says, well, I wake up on Christmas. I always make it about the kids on Christmas because they don't get to spend Christmas with us. It doesn't even make sense, but you should make it. If you have kids, it probably, most parents make it about the Christmas, about the kids.
like, if they went home for the holidays, you know, they might leave, you know, 2 weeks out. We might not see them until, you know, January. So I always spent my time trying to make sure every time, I didn't believe in certain holidays, I did Halloween, but to make sure every holiday was like revolved around the situation. So if you look at the situation, when, you know, we have every house and we have cars and we have whatever. So I worked my entire life in education.
She works her entire life for this.
So to me, it's like everything I work so hard for, everything I work in, whether it's in the military or, you know, service and things like that, no matter how much we had did on that, it took us everything to get to.
Right.
And that was where we were at in our safe spot. So for a person who can, you know, take care of everyone and do everything for everyone, and then just cannot do it for a split second, that's the hardest part. You know, knowing that this is an image getting fed on me, all these horrible things, all these things that are just
All about her, all these things
Well, that's what
being
we'd
said
like
on
to
her.
get to today.
and that's
All these things are so horrible.
And so, Mr. Grusing, where she's talking about, I've given my life to take care of these kids, is this building more on that grievance portion that we talked about earlier?
Yes, I was asking her about, well, I was talking to her about when kids go missing, how hard it is on parents, families, society, et cetera. And then she, you know, talked about herself again, and then what she tried to do to be a mom. And yeah, I would see that as, and then she went from there to holidays, you know, so she wasn't going where I would like her to go to see the gravity of us looking for an 11-year-old child.
Right.
Is that another indication of trying to distract away from the main focus of what this investigation was about?
Yes.
Judge, this might be a good time. The next section is about 13 minutes long.
Okay, let's go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will take our morning break. If I can have everyone back in the jury room at, say, 10:45, we should be able.
she wasn't able to come to the house a lot. And when she did come to the house, this time she came, that she was like, oh, you know, she just wasn't in a good place. So I let her stay at her home. And Gannon had a tough time every time because in his mind, he just wanted to be like a stepsister, you know.
What, his
Yeah.
stepsister?
Yeah.
You mean Harley?
No. his
Oh,
other stepsister.
Landon's?
Yeah. No,
No, I don't.
Mia.
Mia.
Mike started.
Yes.
You know, Mike, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So he wanted it to be like Mike started, which was they go to his dad's house for a week.
Mike's daughter.
Right.
You know, he said
Got it.
that was Gannon's mindset when he was here. Grandparents, amazing people, which is Landon's family. amazing people. Grandma, I think Grandma, Nana, and Poppy. Great people. They would always come get them on weekends and things like that, so that I'd have time to, like, you know, do whatever I needed to do, or if I wanted to go shopping or go hang out with people, whatever. So we had all that, you know, going on here. And the missing piece was, you know, Albert had, you know, the record tree.
Yep.
Gannon would do his schoolwork, very smart. I think he made all A's here in 4th grade. I'm pretty sure he made all A's.
Thanks, he made all
So
A's.
made all A's here. Didn't have like an issue at all.
What would he like when he got home from school? Because Albert's out, you're having to take care of him.
Well, to be honest with you, I got him from after school, which was about like 5:30ish. So by the time we did homework, and all those things, it was almost time to like get ready for bed.
Are you doing his homework with him? Is he doing it on
Right.
his own? What?
See, the difference between schools, and I'm not trying to talk about Colorado if you're from Colorado, the difference between Colorado and South Carolina schools was South Carolina did a lot more with like history and those type of things, where Colorado was
Just talking about those differences in the
so
schools.
he did struggle with history, so we had to sit at the table a lot of times and like really work on, like, he was a mathematics. So like his dad.
He's like
and
his
it's just
father,
like that.
really into
Mhm.
math, she
So
says.
mathematically inclined.
Mathematically inclined.
So when it came to like, history and
Right.
reading science stuff, unless it was something he liked, he didn't like. So we spent hours sometimes, you know, working on those things. But with knowing the curriculum, it was easy for me because I already knew. And so by the time we did that, it was time for him to go to bed. You know, yada, yada, yada. So that was,
That's here. So,
yeah.
then what about in Colorado? How
So-
is that different?
Well, when we get to Colorado, of course, I start them in school, which would have been August.
Well, I guess.
Okay. So I start them in school. It was a big help because Gannon is at this point a little bit more mature. He knows he stay with us. Because see, I took him to Alaska and homeschooled him before we got to Colorado. I homeschooled him for those 2 months. And then we transitioned into Colorado. Actually, it wasn't August. I'm sorry, I told you the story. It was that January that we got here because I homeschooled him November, December, not of this past time, but of the year
Got it.
before. Okay, sorry.
So January 2019.
Yes, so I homeschooled him 2018, November, Christmas
November.
time, because mom couldn't get him in
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason.
For
And
whatever
we came
reason.
on to, but I think she ended up did getting him, and she flew them back to Colorado for a week or something. She got him for a week maybe. Flew them back to Colorado. So January 2019, we would have started school in Colorado.
Okay.
Great. So get him in school, which Colorado, I mean, I think it was like May, middle May, they put them in Colorado. So January, February, March, April. Okay. So it was pretty simple in the terms of we would do like, you know, he never had homework in Colorado for some reason. So it was always Albert would be like make them write their labs or it was time for them to go to summer.
What time did you normally get home from school?
Well, around that time he went to another school because this new school wasn't built.
Okay.
So it would have been like 3:45, 4 o'clock maybe, just because it happened to come from Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And then come in with the fall. Yeah, so they came back in August. So we went on. Gannon went with us on a big cruise in the summer because he didn't want to go home. Right away, we gave him a choice. You want to go on a family cruise, or you want to go, you know, to. He said he wanted to go on a cruise.
Family
Big
cruise.
Dominican, and I forgot.
So Lena didn't go on the cruise, and
Me,
Gannon went
Dan,
on the cruise
Harley,
with Harley
and Albert.
and
So
Al
the four of
and
us,
Letecia.
Lena didn't go. So we all went on this family cruise and had a great time.
We had a
whatever.
great
And then,
time.
of course, they come here for the summer, and then they get ready to come back for fall. So they come back for fall, and at this point in time, I was working. Albert was doing like the shifts, like 3-2.
You had your teaching job and
Yeah,
everything?
3-2, 3-2.
3-2, 3-2.
Well, Harley was working, I think, and starting Pike Peak College. So we were all pretty busy, like, throughout the day. And then in the evening, it was kind of like, come in, grab this. But then I was coaching. So as I was...
What were you coaching?
What were you coaching?
So as I was...
At your school?
At the high school.
At the high school.
So as I was coaching softball, you know, I probably didn't get home sometimes till like 5:30, maybe sometimes later, just depending on if it was a game, a practice, or something like that. So honestly, a lot of the help had to come from either Harley doing a lot of it,
Harley.
if Albert was working, or Gannon had to independently, like, you know, do a lot of it.
Gannon had to
How
independently
did he
do his
get home?
stuff.
Which we were teaching. At this point in time, they were in the new school.
Right.
So the new school, because we lived 1.5 miles out, where when I tell you Gannon, he loves his Nana. Like that's his. If it was up to him, he'll just I'll be at Nana's house all the time because he loves Nana.
He loves his Nana.
So he like wanted to go because he has 2 little boy cousins. If you know, Gannon has 4 sisters, and he doesn't have any brothers.
Mm-hmm.
So he, in his way, those 2 little boys are like his brothers.
Okay.
So if he goes to Nana's house, you know, he can spend a lot of time with his little cousins. And then they can all just hang out. So I just said, hey, listen, you know, we'll go out to dinner. We did all this Thanksgiving. He wanted, and then of course we figured out a plan to get him home for Christmas. Mom never had ours, and then they have to get me out. And that was our biggest worry. Like, have you ever been here before today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like if you like look on the boulevard and things like that, there's a lot of like not the best places, and that was where they were staying at one point. You know, when they would come, and so that was why we were like, no,
Right. Yeah. So then, is Gannon responsible for taking his own? He has ADHD medicine, right? Does he do that on his own? Do you?
Oh, he asked about the medicine.
Most of the time, like how it worked is I got.
And she says she puts it out. You know, she gets their snacks out. Yeah. Great mother. Yada yada yada.
I'm sure it's nothing bad.
But nothing that he could. Gannon could mix up medications with.
He didn't mix up any medications.
Somebody else's meds or anything.
Not that I'm worried. Now there's stuff in the counter from like probably old stuff, or like, you know, like probably had her wisdom teeth taken out. I think Albert did, but I'm pretty sure he might have been smart enough to get rid of that stuff.
I don't know why she's speaking about an attorney.
But none of us had like any like
because I think they're smarter and they can talk themselves out. They're smarter than an attorney. She's smarter than an attorney. She can do this.
So
she wanted to represent herself,
that
remember?
particular recounting of, you lead into asking challenges with Gannon. Again, from your perspective, did she appear to be able to recount things and have strong memory recall ability?
Yeah, she walked us through his childhood, South Carolina, Alaska, Colorado, when he got home from school, what courses he did well in, what courses he struggled in, so yes.
Did it sound like fairly normal family life?
It did.
Did you ask about bath salts and the hike from Sunday, January 26th?
Yes.
So let's jump to that section. It's going to be from this point up to 4330.
I'm asking you that because of the bath salt deal that he came up with. You know, that was on the hike day, wasn't it?
So the bath salt thing was just totally because they did this drug class, which is the same class that my grade did too. And it's where these people came in and they dressed up in like, I say dressed, they were professionals. They are medical professionals. They dressed in their outfits and all those things, and they let the kids like pretend they were working on what do we call it? You know, like as if they were doing CPR and all that. And during that time frame, they went over all these different drugs. So they talked about what
he learned about the bath salts in school.
Like all these, like it was very, very like in depth for 5th grade. But at the same time, you got to think it was probably a good thing to.
So was Gannon telling you about this, or did you find out from a teacher, or how did you find out they had this in-depth conversation?
Well, I knew because they did it at our school first. So they did it at our school first. So it was something, once they found out they did it at our school and they saw like all the cool pictures and things like that, other teachers wanted to know about it. So when the other teachers wanted to know about it, they, you know, went around different schools and they signed like, I think Albert signed a permission slip, or maybe sent an email to the teacher or whatever, that it was okay for him to do.
So was Gannon fascinated with the bath salt thing, or how did that conversation happen? Because I know that seemed to be important.
Yeah.
You know, during the hike and afterwards. And whatever.
Well, it was like, okay, so my parents would deliver these, and we never knew what they were. Say we were told meat, we were told whatever. We don't know. But Albert would always talk to Gannon about anytime people had anything, drugs and
drugs.
He would always say like, these are bad people, things like this is bad things.
Right.
Gannon already had like some sort of base foundation, you know, and because he had like that sort of base foundation, he always had like questions because Like
Right.
that, and that was always the thing. Cause it's baby Nova, and that was like his main concern. Was wanting to know these things because he was just curious of how.
He was curious.
Oh, were you
Okay.
there?
So we know she was behind the bath salts.
I just remember he was talking to me.
And was it concerning to you
Like
what he was saying? Like he really wanted to try these things, or what?
Like I didn't think anything about him wanting to try any of it, do anything with it.
She didn't think
know
he
that
would do it.
Said something about it, and I gave him a bath bomb.
When he said something, what did he say?
He just asked me about, in general, about if we had bath bombs. Because to be honest with you, he had already pooped how many times?
So he said that after he pooped on the hike?
He pooped a couple of times on the hike.
He pooped a
Like,
couple
when
of
I say
times.
poop, I don't mean like.
When she says poop, she doesn't mean like
Just a little bit to where it's
Right,
uncomfortable.
just a little bit.
Right, and so it was the whole thing about bath salts was just, I think he just wanted to like relax because it took two, ended up taking 2 baths.
He took 2 baths, so he just wanted to take a bath.
And I don't want to be weird, but are you giving him baths? Is he taking them?
No. Gannon goes by himself, and he's very like helpful, independent. Like,
He's
I
very
taught him
helpful
some
and independent.
skills where he can go in there and just now he'll forget to like bring his clothes up or
Right.
simple things like that.
Yep.
Okay. So he takes 2 baths that night, or 1 bath that night, 1 the next morning, or?
I think when we got home, we took one. Me and Lena went to go get food. And then I think I used the bathroom again. I think me and Lena got the bath. And then she took one somehow.
So, Mr. Grusing, in that portion of the interview, we're talking about the hike and bath salts. Again, did she appear to have ability to recall those details as well?
Of course.
Is that markedly different than when you're talking about trying to get details as to what happened to Gannon?
Yes.
In what way?
She's comfortable talking, and as you mentioned, she's giving details, and she can clearly remember what was going on, just even from her comfort in talking to me.
And this is from, what she's describing here is from the hike that occurred on the afternoon of January 26th of 2020.
January 26th, Garden
Yes.
of the Gods, right?
Did you ask her about what does it look like if her and Gannon argue?
Yes.
So let's jump to that section.
Now let's
We're gonna
listen to
jump
this.
Just a little bit ahead, 44 minutes and 45 seconds. And we'll play this through 49 minutes and 12 seconds.
So what does an argument look like with Gannon? Have you guys ever argued?
Like maybe like in Myrtle Beach, we would have been like we're so much alike. So
Her and Gannon are so much alike.
We both have stomach problems. So
They both have stomach problems.
we both have like anxiety, so to speak.
Both have anxiety.
And he's so kind and like kind-hearted, and then the point of like we can get upset about something, but then the next minute he'll be like I am. He'll be like, oh, look about something. We'll just say something, or he had tremendously increased the amount in Myrtle Beach. I don't think I ever said anything. I love you, or like like the holiday might come, they just say something, whatever. But like since having him all the time, it became more like I would hear I love you like, all the time, and so I feel like it was on
The holiday, the Christmas before? Is that what you're saying? He disappeared?
what now?
When you said around the holiday, he was saying, I love you?
I'm saying like once we started more and more having, then he and I became a lot closer because of just like wanting to have that connection with both the kids.
Surely you have.
they were much closer.
Did you ever have to discipline him or no?
Well, I never spanked any of the children, never. Because I just don't believe in spanking other people's kids. So never had that. Now, as far as like, okay, you are in trouble, you're going to do this. Yeah, that's any kid with any of them.
What's the biggest disagreement you had with Gannon?
The biggest disagreement.
Biggest disagreement with Gannon.
Probably because he doesn't. And again, he probably shouldn't have this on him as a kid, but not like seeing the light. How he couldn't get home. He was so like, kind of forgiving. It's okay, mommy don't have money.
Mommy don't have money.
If I said anything like, well, and I probably shouldn't have, but I did, I would be like, well, if she quit doing this, she could pay for it. And I would always figure out a way, but then it was like, I'd say, I wanted him to see that.
So was this a certain incident?
Do I know?
The biggest disagreement you had, was this a certain time, or you
No,
just
we never
talking?
had like big, like
They
there
never
was
had a
never
big
any,
disagreement.
Like, big all out. When you say disagreement, like clashes or like screaming,
Well,
shouting?
I'm a parent, so I've had mine.
You mean
Disagreements,
like
yelling at the kid.
like that kind of disagreement, but never not like a
So what's the most
physical,
upset you've been with Gannon?
where we've like
Or you've had
fussed
to
at each
yell,
other.
and I've had to yell at my kids.
I got you. I see what you're saying. So like where we've had to like fuss at each other over whether or not he did something. If he did something,
That
Fuss
has
at
to
each other.
happen if you're a parent. I'm
right.
I'm not
I
judging you.
saying. I thought you were asking me
Again,
like
no,
you were like.
I'm more looking at this from Gannon's point of view. I'm not judging you.
No, I thought you were asking me more of like like whippings or like
Beating or
switches
something like
or like something like that. No.
But what's the most intense time you've had with Gannon, as far as you're yelling, he's yelling, that sort of thing? That has to have happened, especially with that kid.
I mean, yeah, of course.
So what time do you remember?
Probably times that I don't remember specific times. I say all revolved around Albert, like not being disciplined.
Well, when Gannon was just doing something that's totally irrational and unreasonable. I have a boy, I know.
Yeah.
They don't behave all the time.
Right.
So what did Gannon?
I don't know of any like specifics. I just know that we would have, like if it would have been something that wasn't in what our teachings were, we would have, of course, yelled.
So
at
you
each
never
other.
had to yell at him that you remember?
I just said that to you. I said there have been plenty of times.
Yeah, but I mean a specific one.
So, Mr. Grusing, in that portion of the interview, when you're asking about the biggest disagreement that she had with Gannon, she referenced Gannon's mother.
Yeah.
Did Gannon's mother and the relationship that Gannon had with his mother become a fairly consistent theme
Yes.
as it relates to her
He
feeling
was
like she
jealous.
wasn't getting credit?
So jealous of
She
Lynn.
mentioned that a couple of times, yes.
Okay. And in that particular one, she mentioned that he's very forgiving to his mom, and she, being the defendant, wanted Gannon to see that his mom wasn't doing the right things,
Yes,
almost seeming to want to discredit Gannon's own mother
correct.
in Gannon's
Correct.
eyes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask, or did she eventually give a description of Gannon being in a very upset rage and having some sort of a knife or box cutter?
She did.
All right, let's jump to that section, and we're jumping ahead
So
about
some
a
of the
minute
knife
to
for the
50
box cutter.
minutes and 10 seconds. And we're going to play it to 55:32.
Gannon wouldn't like yell back. Gannon would not like yell back and be like, like confrontational. So Gannon would not like. He might say something smart
How did he react?
under his breath.
Do you have an incident you remember? Or
He
no?
might say something smart
And you
under his
had to
breath.
put your foot down and say, Gannon, that's not acceptable.
No, like if I said that, he pretty much listened to what I said.
Yeah.
It was
He listened to her.
not- I don't remember him screaming back at me at any
Or just go in his room, slamming the door,
situation.
anything like that.
Slamming the door, room. Me?
Well, no,
More so me, like saying something. Albert might have been more of the, if there was slamming doors or anything,
I mean, doors.
like going back again. Albert, you need to make sure he's not doing this, and then, broke from there in that situation.
Okay.
Like Albert was teaching him how to use a box cutter and like different things like that. And there was times that I might have been like, "Oh, Albert, I don't think you should have done this because he was acting weird in this way." But that would have been early in the beginning before we started getting in like counseling.
Oh, before they started getting in counseling, she told him, "Al, maybe you shouldn't have showed him the box cutter or whatever because he was acting weird with it."
So Albert said that he should get counseling through the military, just for like all the transitions and being like in and out of school and all the different things like that, just to make sure that his mental like well-being was fine. And Albert said that anytime he would, of course, counselors can't tell you, what was going on unless it was something, pressing. And of course, Albert would always come out and say that everything's fine, and then Gannon would come back and tell us what he talked about. But as far as like,
Did Gannon ever come at you with a knife or something? Wasn't there an incident?
well, that's what I was just telling you about. There was when Albert, I told you Albert was trying to teach him how to use
That's the box cutter
a box
thing?
cutter, yeah. So Gannon had this thing about the knife, and he was doing like this, and whoever told you that it was coming at me, that was not.
That's why I'm asking
Whoever
you.
told you it was
Yeah.
coming
I'm getting
at
a real
me, he
story
did
here.
it.
No. You've got stories from everywhere, and you
Yeah.
probably are not looking at me for mine. But that is not what happened. Gannon was in a upset, which the video was shown to the counselor lady,
Okay.
and Albert was so upset.
Video was shown to the counselor lady.
You
I
should
wonder if she
have
made
let
it.
me get the video or something like that. But Gannon was in more of like an upset rage because this was in the very beginning when he had to first transition to another school.
Gannon was in an upset rage.
No, so this would have been, I don't know if it would have been fall, but okay, so 4th grade, new school.
4th grade, new school.
Then they went to the first school in Colorado, and then the new school opened.
Correct.
So it was somewhere between that time frame of Gannon it was too much transition for him. That had nothing to do with him being mad at me or being mad at Albert or Landon or whatever. It was too much transitions for him that he was so upset. Like
Where was he when he was doing this? Was he in his room? In the
I feel
garage?
like it was
Too many transitions for him.
really ask me something that was a while ago. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
Were you threatened by Gannon doing that? Did it
I
make
told-
you nervous?
well, I told Albert, I said it has a mentality. Like in my mind, I said it has a mentality of like he's going to want to not hurt himself, or not just specifically hurt someone in general, but specific, but in general. And so like I was a little worried because I thought
Worried.
he had so much anger and aggression for what was going on. Because it honestly was, Albert hadn't even got there yet, I feel like Albert had just either got to Colorado or hadn't got there yet.
Right.
And so he had to go from being with his mom back to me, and then Albert wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was, okay, like, I gotta start new school, I gotta make new friends, like all those things.
How did you handle it? How did you calm him down?
He
Yeah.
was typically always,
No, but I'm specifically with the box cutter thing. How did you calm him down?
I don't know if it was a knife he had then. I was just saying
knife
like,
he
he
had.
had been using a box cutter, so that's how I was
Okay.
teaching him. Right? So I remember I took his amiibo. He loves amiibos, and I took his amiibo and I just threw his amiibo out the front yard. And I told him, I was like, the amiibo's gone. We're never getting it again. And I made him call his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember.
What did she throw out
what
there? The
we said, but I know
amiibo?
she was basically saying,
What
like,
did she throw
you
out
better
on the
listen
front?
again. And I made him call his mom.
The box cutter thing. How did you calm him down?
I don't know if it was a knife he had then. I was just saying, like, he had been using a box cutter, so that's how I was
Okay.
teaching him. Right? So I remember I took his amiibo. He loves amiibos. And I took his amiibo and I just threw
What's
his
his
amiibo out the front yard. And I told him,
What the heck is an
the
amiibo?
amiibo's gone. We're never getting it again. And I made him call his mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't remember what we exactly said, but I know she was basically saying, like, you better listen. She gets upset and sends me a message. I send her a message back, and we were both, like, mad at each other, as in me and Landon. And then
What is an
it was
amiibo?
kind of more of like, okay, it's calm down. But this was a year ago.
Whatever it is, she
You
threw
know,
it out in the yard,
so
told him
that
he's
was
never
the-
getting it
But
again.
just that it was, he needed that outlet.
Okay.
He needed that
Well,
counseling.
that helps.
What is an amiibo?
So pausing you at 55 minutes and 32 seconds. Again, she's showing a good ability to recall different events that have occurred during her time with Gannon.
She is.
She says that there's some video of some knife or box cutter incident. Did you ever see such a video?
I did not.
Do you know if one even actually existed?
No.
What is the amiibo?
Was there a portion of the interview that you did with her where she relays to you that she had somehow convinced
And she
Gannon to
just
call
threw
her
it out in the
different names?
yard?
Yes.
The way that she's talking about that with you, did that seem like that was a calculated move on her part, meaning that she's trying to convince Gannon to do this?
Yes.
Okay. Let's jump to that. That's going to start at 57 minutes and 15 seconds.
I think you're thinking of an amoeba, Kelly
We'll
B.
play it through 57 minutes and 47 seconds.
Sir, it's so hard because
John. Okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm old, but
I'm
don't call
sorry,
me.
John. It's so hard because if I get up in the morning and Gannon would even say, "You want me to take the dogs out so you can have 10 more minutes of sleep?" And I convinced him into changing my name.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go on board with, like,
So he's
calling
very
me a
helpful,
different
letting her
name.
get extra sleep,
I
right?
didn't have it like my original word and calling me a different name.
Oh, they're like
so
plush toys.
the helpfulness.
Oh, and she
So
threw
as
it.
it
So
relates
she
to
threw it
those,
out in the yard and said
that
he's
different
never
names
getting
that
it
she's
again.
referring to, the reason that
somebody
she
says
gives
it's
in
a
the
switch
interview
cane.
was
I don't
because she
know.
didn't like her original name.
That's right.
Did she ever talk about that in any other time, either on those phone calls that you were a part of, or even during this interview about how she would go as a different person or different name?
Not that I was a part of, no.
Did this appear to be, the way she's describing it, a voluntary act on her behalf to get Gannon to call her a different name because she didn't like her original name?
Yes.
Did you ask her about the candle incident and the fire in the
Oh, this is
basement
good.
and
This
keeping
is
Gannon
good.
home?
I did.
Why'd you ask about that?
We as investigative team were very unclear on what happened with the candle incident, and she ascribed a lot of injuries to Gannon, including burns on his arms, blood, that sort of thing. So I wanted to see how she would talk about it to me.
Okay, so we'll jump to that section next, and we're gonna jump to 1 hour and 1 minute and 20 seconds and play through 1 hour, 26 minutes and 58 seconds.
The candle incident. Can you tell me about that?
Okay, so Gannon wanted to, I don't remember if he wanted to stay up 30 minutes. I can't remember. There was something he did that allowed him to earn some extra time. There was something he did. But
Something
Albert
he
had
did.
grounded him from playing. the
Albert
Switch.
grounded him from
So
the
he
switch
wasn't allowed to, play a Switch or whatever. He was only allowed
or
to
whatever.
wanted to watch a movie.
Right.
Well, on the hike earlier that day, he was so helpful with me. People think he was sick.
So
and
helpful on the
whatever.
hike.
There were some issues and still have to operate. But he was so helpful with taking care of the dogs and stuff. And I had told Gannon that, so that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, I remember that.
so we sat around and, we had before we left, we were on the sofa and I'm just crying.
What?
He didn't know who that was. He knew the name, but
Mhm.
not
Kobe
the
Bryant, she's talking about.
inspiration to know who that was. So we just sat there and talked about it, and I told him Kobe had all. And started relating in the terms of being like me, I have all sisters, and so we were talking about that, and in between some of those questions might have been certain questions that led to what he was asking me about what went on in the scene,
Okay.
in the talk.
Right.
And so that
thank you.
led
It's
into
6:75.
on the hike that day about what we talked about. So then that evening, I don't remember what he did, but I remember saying we had 30 minutes with something extra, and I knew it wasn't his intention window or things like that at the time because he wasn't supposed to earn that back until the next day.
Come on, lady.
And so then, we had, I think I was upstairs.
She was upstairs.
Harley wasn't there.
Harley wasn't there.
Like this. Harley had to work until.
Harley had to work.
Then Gannon had. What was he doing? He was doing something. I don't know.
Gannon was
So I go
doing
back upstairs.
She
Then
went
I
back
hear
upstairs.
The machine was saying like beep beep beep, like is this someone coming in the house?
Okay.
So I put the code in, thinking, so why is the alarm thing off?
Put the code in because the alarm's going off.
No, the door's open. So then I go back where Lena was at, and I see she was faking sleeping, but not really. And then, but she had like the cover over her head a little bit.
Lena
So,
was
she
kind of
doing,
sleeping.
like, whatever. And so then I hear the thing saying fire. Like
Does it actually say fire?
Fire.
It said fire.
Fire.
So that was the crazy thing because I never had heard. I didn't know what. I thought it would just be like,
Right, like a siren.
but I don't know if it was the detector thing saying fire or if it was the actual. But it was just like fire,
Fire.
whatever.
Fire.
So then I run back in there and I look and I see Lane's room. I don't see anything that was downstairs and I don't see. And it was still going. So I grabbed Lena. I tell you exactly wrong, but I'm pretty sure I grabbed Lena first. And grabbed the dog. I think that's how it went. Don't quote me on that, but I'm sure it was in that order somehow. Yeah. And we run out to the truck. It was like either I open the door. I don't remember. Somehow they get.
She doesn't remember anything, right?
Okay.
Open the
And then I
door.
run back downstairs because
Run back downstairs.
And so I run back downstairs and Gannon was awake but not awake. Like you know how you can almost like be asleep but not asleep.
He was awake but not
Or
awake.
his bed.
No. He wasn't in his bed.
He wasn't in
He
his
was on the
bed.
sofa.
See, he wasn't in his
Right.
bed.
So he was on the sofa. And so
It's
like,
on the sofa.
When I pull the cover, I pull Gannon with the cover.
She pulled
So
the cover
this
and she
point
pulled him
time,
with it.
Then I put the fire that's
So
out.
what did the
Put
fire
the
look
fire out.
It wasn't like huge.
Where was it? In the carpet? On the sofa?
And she pushes
Look
her
at the
hands
cover.
down when she
Covers.
says that.
On the covers? Was the cover on the sofa though, or was it on the floor?
I don't remember.
She doesn't
I just
remember.
where it was in the small location. It wasn't a big enough fire to.
What color was it? Do you remember? Was it yellow, red, orange?
I don't remember. Wasn't in a color to like. Wasn't in
Because
a,
I think what blue burns the hottest. Then you have stuff. If stuff gets involved in the fire, you have a yellowish. or
He's
reddish
asking her
color.
about the colors and the
remember.
flame. She
Don't
can't even
remember.
articulate
How,
it.
can you show me how tall it was? Like,
How tall is it? She
it
doesn't
wasn't
know.
tall.
wasn't tall.
Wasn't tall.
I mean, but my tall might be different. I don't
My
know.
tall might be different.
I don't.
Still, a fire's going to freak you out.
Right. Yeah. So when I pull the cover, I pull him with the cover
Him
too,
with the covers.
and we run out.
And they ran
Did you
out.
put out the fire or no?
I know that we took the covers.
We
both
took
of
the
them.
covers.
When
Okay.
he sees what's going on, we took the covers and like we smashed down
Took the covers and smushed them down.
like on it. Yeah, because my honest thought was oxygen put it out.
Right.
That was all I could think.
Oxygen put it out. Lack
Yeah,
of
put it
oxygen.
out, whatever.
Did
Whatever,
it take
whatever.
Sorry to interrupt. Did it take a lot to put it out or no? Or did you just smother it and then move? Or was it
Nope.
something in between?
Was there what now?
Something in between. You know,
We-
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
She doesn't remember
Something in
anything.
between.
Like in between, just it happened real quick, or you had to fight it for a while, or
Oh, it wasn't like fighting for a while. Like there was already a bunch of covers on the side that that I had grabbed them all and put over here, which is why the whole thing was all covers.
She grabbed
They
them
weren't
all.
Covers all up here.
Covers.
So it was like stuff there. And then I run, and he's running behind me.
He's running
So as
behind.
I'm running up, he like trips or whatever.
He
he's
tripped
right
and
behind
whatever.
me. So then I think I exit back out the garage. I feel like.
the truck was in the garage.
No. It was out front.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying like I think I exited back out the garage. Because I feel like I just ran back to that door. I'm not 100% positive. I know
Not
this
100%
now. Then
positive.
Gannon runs right out behind me, and when I turned around and saying something to him because I'm like, hey, because in my mind, I don't remember if I had gotten the dogs, even though I had already
Right.
had grabbed the dogs.
Oh, she didn't
But, like,
remember.
I don't remember what we were saying, but we were all in a frame, whatever. He jumped in the passenger side, and I'm in the driver's side of the truck.
Okay.
Lena is in the back, and at that point, we drive off. So we drive off for, I don't know, a minute. We drive back, but there's no gas in the truck.
So was anybody burned from that?
So Gannon
You or Gannon?
had little burns on his arms,
Little burns
from
on his
that.
arms.
and then but at the time, Gannon always lays with like his either like his underwear on, or like something like that. So at the time when we ran out, I feel like, did he have a shirt? I don't remember if he grabbed a shirt or grabbed another cover.
She doesn't remember.
But I knew that he had some burns on his arm, but I know they weren't bad, like burns.
They weren't
that were
bad burns.
They were just like you can feel it or whatever.
Were they discolored then? Was it skin reddish, pinkish? What was it? Or did you see it then? Or later?
No, it was not till later that I really
Wasn't till
paid
later that she
attention
really
and
saw
should
it.
have been like, okay, well, because I did later on.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, so like his arms, and then we get in the truck or whatever, so then we come back, and so I'm of course, and like I text Harley, I text Albert, what had happened, and I said, this is what happened. Tell Harley this is what happened. Don't panic when you come home. Because the house at this point in time we get back in smells like nothing but smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing but
And so,
smoke.
nothing but smoke at this point in time.
Smoke.
It's just like I couldn't get the smoke out.
Couldn't get it
Even
out.
opening up the windows.
Well, opening up the windows.
So that was
So what
like
happened with these covers that you used to put out the flame?
Well, the covers were either left there. I remember getting some of the stuff and putting outside in the trash can, which I even showed. the
Put some
people
stuff in the
that got
trash can.
the trash can.
Do you guys have singular trash cans for each house there? Or just, do you have a dumpster or what?
You really like it's a big trash. It's just a big brown trash.
One of the wheel ones you wheel
Yeah,
out
yeah.
and put by the curb? Okay.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It was one was like whatever, but
Whatever.
we did want Albert. So come home, not necessarily come home and meet for that, but we maybe had updated a little bit to Albert because we were thinking,
Can you see the big question mark over the
Whatever.
detective? Yeah.
Whatever. So in my message to Albert probably was a little bit a little more over exaggeration.
When you say we, did you talk with the kids about let's get Albert home?
No. We did sit down, and because when I was asking him, was this, did you do this on accident? Was this an accident? Whatever. And so we were just talking about, the whole thing. Everybody was in one room. We were all in the bedroom at the time.
They were
which
all
was
in the
our
bedroom.
upstairs.
Okay.
So we were all in the bedroom upstairs and talking.
Come on, how does
Whatever,
he
and I
get
said I got to let your daddy know. And
Yeah,
I was
gotta
not
let
gonna
your
tell
daddy
him.
know.
That was the original thing. It was not to tell him. It was just to fix it and not tell him.
Mm-hmm.
Fix it.
Because then I was like, if I just do that, then we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But then that was just enough. Like, oh, maybe Albert would be like, no, don't worry. Because it was hard, always, all of us was there, going through all these memories and doing all these things without him,
Mhm.
being there,
No,
whatever.
I get it.
So that was
So
the
did
hardest
Gannon agree that was a good idea to kind of play it up a little bit?
part. Did he agree?
Yeah.
We all were in agreement.
So how did you play it up? Was the fire really not that big, and you made it like it was a big deal? Or
Well,
They played it
to
up.
get Al to say, hey, maybe I should get back home?
when we were explaining it to people in general, that was our whole oh my gosh, whatever. Because oh, you saw that if the people that we messaged, we made it more of a situation, than what it really was.
Yeah, because I couldn't understand how a candle could make a big fire, because my wife lights candles all the time. around
Right.
the
Now
house,
he
and
talks
it
about the
would knock them
candles, and
over,
he's
if
telling
you
her you're
knock
full
it
of
over,
crap. Okay, the wax is
nothing
gonna
happens.
extinguish
I mean,
the
it might
flame. You're
change
full
the
of
sparkle a
crap.
little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's part of it, because that
Yeah.
looks awfully big for a candle.
I
just
didn't
to
even
be-
think that was even big. Was that
Well,
really big?
Yeah, I mean, it's that big for a candle, because, like I said, my wife,
He's telling her
Yeah,
the
like,
flames you're
church
describing
sometimes
flames
with all
that
the
are too big
candles
for a
she lights.
candle.
Yeah.
we have dogs running around with kids.
Yeah, yeah, no, it
So I was
was
just surprised the candle.
upstairs. And he was playing this game. Yeah, but I was,
Sure.
and I don't,
He likes,
and so he had already lit the candle, which we
does he
allowed.
normally do that?
Yeah, we allowed him to be. He could light the candle if he wanted to. He was allowed to open like packages that came. That's where I was telling Albert taught him how to use like the box cutter and stuff like that.
Box
So,
cutter again.
Now the foot injured in the garage. Tell me about that.
The foot injury.
Sorry, before I go
Foot
there,
injury.
so we don't forget. You said peeling these later. We could,
I just remember that on Monday his arm had a little bit of peeling to it.
Peeling to
And
it.
and that's when I said in my mind, and like I told the other lady that was here, that I did at that point say, I probably should like think about if I need to, if later on after I put stuff on it, I need to think about if it gets worse,
Yeah.
monitor the situation.
He needs to think about it.
like those type of things.
did you put stuff on it or no?
Well, we had took that green aloe stuff and we had took and put the dog had just had get bit before, so already had that little wrap stuff.
Okay.
And so we had already done that in that situation.
Did you put them
No.
in both arms?
I don't think it was the right arm. I feel like.
And then when did you do that? Was that Sunday night, Monday morning,
I
both?
think it was Sunday night. No, actually it wasn't. It was through the night because we stayed up late, so it would have already been Monday morning hours,
Monday morning.
like, into Monday morning.
So far, you guys up late.
Because we couldn't breathe. The smell was.
They
so,
couldn't breathe,
like,
but he slept down there.
Stuck in the house from the smoke. We couldn't breathe. And I don't want to do
So where did you guys hang out until you could
that.
breathe?
We slept in our room.
Oh,
and then
really?
We opened all the windows.
That's not what you said before.
Okay. And all four of you slept in?
It's not what your daughter said.
Lena, Harley, me, and him were in the room for a while. Then Gannon went to. Yeah. So then Gannon went to Lena's room for a while, but then he was in his room by the time he woke up. So I don't know if he got up in.
What time do you think you went to Lena's room? Was it after midnight or then?
Or I don't know.
When did you call him in sick? It was pretty early in the morning.
Well, we didn't. What happened is we didn't. All I did was I called and asked about his stomach. It was nothing to do with.
She called his dad about his stomach.
My question was, I'd already given him Miralax, which was like,
Mm-hmm.
You know.
so we had a prescription over the counter,
prescription
whatever
over
it
the
is,
counter.
prescription Miralax.
Prescription Miralax over the
And
counter,
I'd
whatever.
already given him that, and so then I also had X-Lax. And I thought, at what point can I?
She also had
not-
X-Lax.
Like, how much is enough? If I can't get him to pass this, at what point is there enough, or can I go ahead and do it like an enema? Albert can tell you, I've given him an enema before, and like things like that, because it gets so bad and they're just so big and they get clogged up. So that was the concern about how to get him to pass.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for me, I have to I can drink 10 scoops of Miralax and
Won't affect you
it
like.
won't affect me at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can drink 10
And so
Miralax, so
I
it
didn't
won't
want it
affect
to
her
be
at all.
over, but the combination is different in my stomach because, like I said, if I take 10 of them, I'm okay.
So he's having the squirts,
takes 10,
and he
she's okay.
started having those in the hike, but he couldn't pass that whole evening. Is that right?
Right. He would get out, but couldn't get the whole thing out. And that was sometimes if he finally, and then when he
It
finally
had to be
gets
painful,
one out.
wasn't it? Or,
For me, I lay in the bathroom.
She
and
goes,
I'm in pain.
yeah.
That might be, that must
Was
be
he telling
painful.
you he
For
was in
me,
pain?
she
Well, he
says,
sits on the toilet.
No, he's not
His
talking about
common
for you.
thing Is that he'll sit on the toilet and just sit there.
But he could just sit on the toilet.
He's got something to focus with. Gannon's pain tolerance is very
He's got a very
when it
high
comes
pain
to
tolerance.
sitting there, focusing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he
So he spent a lot of time in the bathroom that evening, just sitting there.
yeah, off and on the bathroom. We got kids meals, but he came out and ate his
he
kids
got
meals.
kids' meals.
There, so I said
McDonald's, he was like,
no. We of course Jr.
Carl's
Carl's
Jr., even
yeah.
though she said it was
So
Burger
I had
King.
originally said Burger King, but that's not Burger King right there. That's Carl's Jr.
Right,
Right.
that's not
Carl's
Burger
Jr.
King, that's Carl's Jr., even though I said it, I
Because
lied.
I never go to Carl's Jr., but we got 2 kids meals, and
Got 2 kids' meals.
Lena went with me to go get it. So he ate the kids meal when we got back.
But it still hadn't passed. So.
Well, if he ate, he had done something. He had already used it some because he wouldn't have eaten.
He wouldn't have
And
eaten if he
did you
didn't
give
do
him the
something.
Miralax before the meal then?
I had already given him Miralax throughout the week. We always had this thing where if I went in there and took one of my shots, like of acai berries or something like that, he would take one too. So it was common for me to be like, okay, here, mix, and Albert would always say, go mix him up one of the drinks because we
Yeah,
put
mix
it
him
orange
up one of the
juice.
drinks.
Well, he didn't like juices as much unless it was like Kool-Aid juices. So it was a common thing to always try to give
Common.
Miralax to regulate the system. But the problem is, if you don't take the Vyvanse, say you don't take it for a day, like he didn't take it on Saturday, because family was in town.
She doesn't
Say you don't
cook,
take it
she
on
said,
Saturday,
Barb,
and
she
you
doesn't
don't take
cook
it
at
on
all.
Sunday, that's when it starts to happen. That's when the constipation and the diarrhea kind of hits. So like, let's say if he would have took it Saturday, and let's say he would have took it Sunday, he wouldn't have been as bad. But
Right.
then the problem is, Albert always would want him not on it if we're going to go do like a big time activity, because instead of having him like, zoned out, I mean, zoned out or something.
Yeah.
That was
The Vyvanse.
right.
Yeah.
And so like the thing was, if we go somewhere that requires him to have like things, then that
Yeah.
we don't want him to be under that Vyvanse and just have to be on his own. We want him to be, especially like on the hike. I wanted him to be able to like run around and do things. Because me and him were always on the top of all, like if we had hiked, we were always on the top of hikes. We were always the ones, like,
Right.
leading, doing everything.
So was he bleeding that night? Do you know?
From
Rectally?
from
Anally? Yeah.
So what happens is from him breathing,
Was he
Well,
bleeding?
I'm trying to
But
figure out
Just thinking.
things that are going on with him these
Right.
last couple hours.
yeah, so like from him squeezing and stuff like that, his does the same thing as mine does, and mine doesn't. So that's why I told you we're so much alike, and we could relate on that, because it was like, oh my gosh, or your butt, and then just from like, squeezing
Yeah.
and things like that. And that wasn't like, oh,
Okay. So it wasn't a copious amount.
yeah,
Just
so,
because of him struggling with that all night, or that evening into the night. You don't know when he eventually felt good? Or,
how it works is he might feel good, and then he gets where it's hurting still until he gets it all out. It's not until he returns like 100% and being like, okay, I'm back to game
did he get back to Gannon that night?
for Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was fine. I thought he earned extra time.
He was
Right.
doing great on
Like,
Sunday,
he
right?
would stay up and stuff.
Yeah, but I thought, was he not struggling with this after the candle incident?
Right. It comes, like what happens is I mean, if you want to call him a GI person, but he gets where he's okay, and then a little bit more okay, and a little bit more. They happen every
Yeah.
once a month ish,
Right.
where he goes through those episodes of his stomach and mind those same things.
So when you guys were up in the bedroom, how was he?
You mean like after
The flame and fire and smoke?
He was upset and like crying because he thought he was going to lose his switch, like for a long time. Like he thought, that
Thought he was going to lose the switch.
the biggest thing was, I don't care, we'll just do whatever. I knew whatever. I would be quicker to cover up
Mm-hmm.
because we just related on the same page.
She was going
More
to
so
cover up
than
for him
we
because
would
they related on the same page, and she's the cool mom, right?
sure,
So she's going to cover up for him.
Anna could be more of like, he can.
They're so alike.
Right.
So I'd be more inclined. Don't tell anybody, we'll fix it. And so that
Don't
was
tell
kind of
anybody,
like
we'll fix it.
our conversation, what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was upset, like
I was upset.
very, like upset and hurt and just trying to do whatever, but we also
Crying, whatever.
So how late do you think he stayed up with you in the room until he finally left?
I don't know.
Was it past midnight, or do you know?
I don't know. At this
But he
point in
left
time, I
on his
don't know.
own.
At this point. So whenever he went to Lena's room, I think he walked down. I don't remember exactly, but I know we all four of us couldn't fit in the bed plus two dogs.
All four couldn't fit in the
So
bed.
at one point in time, we had to switch. And I feel like at one point, Harley was sleeping on the sofa, and then Harley and Lena switched. Because we were up, like I said, we couldn't breathe.
They couldn't breathe.
Very smoky. So we were all like,
She didn't call the fire
I mean, I
department.
went
She
full
didn't call
agreement.
anybody. She didn't get a hotel room or anything, right?
exhausted.
Right.
Because my blood.
So Lena was real sleepy, but she went to school.
Yeah, like what I'm saying is when she woke up, she probably was like really like felt like she could have used a couple more hours.
Mm-hmm. So why did you call Gannon in sick and not her?
Well, she wasn't struggling with stomach problems.
So he still had him in the morning. Then.
Right. So it wasn't. I even had messaged Albert through the night and said, "Hey, I asked him."
Mm-hmm.
Like I asked him, and he said, "Okay, it's Gannon things out." And so that was.
Yeah.
So he didn't respond because he was on a different time zone.
So you called in sick though
He didn't
too.
respond. He was on a different time zone.
Judge, that's at 1:26:58, which was where I intended to stop, and this is probably a good time for lunch.
Yes, it is. All right. Mr. Grusing, you can go ahead and step down.
Okay. Then
Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our noon recess. If I can have everyone back in the jury room a little bit before 1:30, we could be able to start on time at that point. Again, don't discuss the case among yourselves. Don't discuss the case with anyone else. Don't do your own research about any aspect of this case. With that, we'll see you at 1:30. Have a good lunch. All rise for the jury, please.
Help you, and with people willing to help me.
how could the lunch break?
Thank you. May all be seated. Record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Is there anything we need to take up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time? Prosecution?
No.
That's all right. Court will be in recess. Thank you.
All rise.
Oh, Okay, we so- did a replay. That's why. Okay, I was telling him like, what? Something's wrong.
The lunch hour, and if we get to that, if we get to that place in this testimony, I have an instruction that I'll be giving that essentially mirrors.
Okay, I missed that.
I'm not telling.
Mm.
That I'm not telling.
Mm.
She got gloves on. She just put Letecia back in there. What's going on with Letecia over there? Leticia's going through the book. Hi, Spanky Cam. Hi, 61. Okay, let's see. Hold on.
Conversation we had without the jury being present. And it relates to Mr. Grusing's prior testimony, at least as to his qualifications, and was part of the basis for why defense was basing their objections on. At the beginning of his testimony, we went through his background and experience and trainings and whatnot. He started talking about having trained with BAU
No,
and
not yet.
being
We're
trained by
gonna do the Google
profilers.
searches.
But he said that he's not himself a profiler. That's in testimony. And I think it's important to keep that in mind too when we're talking about the things that defense is bringing up.
Well, I actually was thinking about it over, I was thinking about it over
Lunch.
the lunch hour. And if we get to that, place in this testimony, I have an instruction that I'll be giving that essentially mirrors 16.8.109, and in addition informs the jury that Mr. Grusing is not being offered as an expert on the subject of psychiatry or psychology, and you should not accept his testimony as expert testimony. And so, and it gives him the language of 16.8.109 that he can give an opinion regarding conversations, context, those sorts of things. But that was the last sentence. So
Okay.
Yeah, and in relation to, I think what you're talking about there, Judge, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm on the wrong track on this, but as it relates to that question that we've been asking some witnesses about, did you develop an opinion as to sanity?
right.
Again, just further record of
Just for the
what
record.
Mr. Grusing's basis for any opinion would be in this interview, and we've already heard part of it, where he's asking her direct questions about mental health. And she says in her own words that she was of sound mind. He asked the question, are you of sound mind? She says, right. And then she gives an explanation. She gives explanations about having anxiety and being on lorazepam. And so any opinion that we would ask of Mr. Grusing would be based on those phone calls and this particular interview, which there's, I think, enough record being made for him to do that under that 16.8, and you just said the statute number, but I'm blanking on it right now.
16.8.109.
109, thank you. I think there is a sufficient basis already for him to do that. Obviously, we're not to that point yet that I'm going to be asking that, but there certainly is a sufficient basis for that.
All right. Well, we will cross that bridge when we get there. Is there anything else that we need to address at this point in time?
No, Judge.
Defense? Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in.
Okay.
Over. Overbeen, ladies.
Portion of, she gives you, was it consistent that when you would start getting into particular points of interest as it relates to the alleged crimes here, that she would give these extraneous details?
Yes, and that was consistent through the phone calls as well.
From your perspective, was that another distraction attempt to sort of create these tangents off of the main path of what you're trying to drive towards?
Yes.
Cell phones, please.
Apparently the cell phone wants me to repeat it, Judge. I don't know.
That's the year or whoever.
You had asked about details about this fire in this particular portion, in like color of flame, those height of the flames. Why were you asking those questions?
Well, as I explained before the video, the candle was a significant incident. She had been talking about that since February 13th that I
Right.
came on, that Gannon sustained serious burns from that caused him even to bleed. And I wanted to see how she described not only the candle, but the fire itself and how he was injured.
What was your perspective of that, either reluctance or unwillingness to share details of the fire, the colors of the flames, the height of the flames? Why is that potentially significant to you in this interview?
Well, I tried multiple times to get her to explain to me what she saw. And I tried to give her different prompts on maybe even motioning with her hand how tall it might be, or how hot it was, or colors, and she was not comfortable doing that.
Okay. There was also discussion about the burns on Gannon. She describes on one hand that there were little burns on his arms, and then says by Monday they're peeling. Any significance to that for you? That seems to be some divergent statements as to the severity of these burns.
Yes, in our phone call on February 13th, she was saying that Gannon was peeling and peeling his burns and that they
Peeling
were
and
very
peeling.
bloody. And that's a lot different from how she was describing those to me in this interview.
In that particular, and you're referring back to a different one of these recorded calls that we listened to.
Correct.
Did that appear to be, from your perspective, a way to explain why there would be blood on his walls and in his bedroom?
Yes,
So again, to explain away important details in the investigation?
yes.
In this particular discussion of the fire in the basement, she gives a long description about opening windows and how people are sleeping upstairs, everybody is, but then Gannon ends up downstairs.
Right.
Did that appear to be an isolation of Gannon based on the way you're hearing that?
Yeah, it didn't make sense
Right.
to me at the time on why he would be back down there, but I decided not to press it.
Does that also, I guess building on that, the fact that she describes all the windows being opened, we're talking about mid to late January, likely very cold in there.
Right.
Was that significant at all to you?
Yeah, I wasn't really taking in all of that, but I didn't think from talking with El Paso, the sheriff's office, that there was such a cause for so much smoke and inhalation and
Right.
windows being opened.
Okay. Next, I want to ask you about, during this interview, did you ask her about whether she went to work on that Monday, January 27th?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So we're going to jump to 1 hour, 27 minutes flat. And we're going to play from 1 hour, 27 minutes to 1 hour, 29 minutes and 42 seconds.
What I did was I said, I told Albert, I said, hey, I'll just stay at home.
Come on.
Right. But the plan was
Oh my gosh.
I wasn't. That was like the plan was I was not going to.
So starting, when was that a plan?
I don't know. December, so I was just going to try to use like days, you know, whatever, because I didn't.
Whatever.
Right. What did you tell your school as far as why you didn't show up that day?
For that day, I didn't talk to them about anything.
Didn't
Your
tell
school,
them
you
about
didn't?
anything.
That day.
Did you just not show?
Mhm.
Were you have classes waiting on you? Or?
No.
No.
Okay, so what happened was I transitioned because I was like, okay, I was going to be teaching. Like, okay, I have to do something until this like the whole flight attendant thing starts. So I had to do something
She had to do something.
and not
Mm-hmm.
have money or whatever. So I got on DA. I would do a long-term position or a regular subbing position. And then, so then I just, at that point, was going to just call in whenever I could work. I have it in my email.
Right.
I could just call in whenever I worked.
So were you scheduled to show up then Monday morning?
From the school that I wasn't going to work at anymore. I didn't even complete paperwork with them yet. So it wasn't even, I wasn't
They
even.
weren't counting on you to
Complete the
show up
paperwork,
that
guys.
day
Come
or anything.
on.
What do you mean? But I hadn't signed any contracts. I hadn't
I
like
hadn't.
done anything with them because the whole plan was I was not going to be teaching them.
Okay,
When
yeah, I
you-
get you didn't sign contracts, but were they planning for you to come in to do something on Monday and you had to call in?
I never called it on Monday. I'd already
Did
told
you
them.
text down or something?
No, on Thursday or Friday, I'd already
text
told them. Okay. On Thursday or Friday, I'd already told them that I wasn't coming in. Like I didn't go in Friday either. Like I'd already told them I wasn't. So it was like, you're asking me about if I told them Monday, but
Mm-hmm.
I'd already told them prior that.
Or you'd already told them, so you didn't have to tell them you're not coming in on Monday?
Right, because I had already told them because see, on my dad's side, there was someone who passed away. The prior week. So that's.
So, Mr. Grusing, when she's giving you this answer, what information did you have already about her employment on that Monday?
I had, I think in the 4:00 a.m. hour, she had texted to say one of her relatives had got hit by a car and
Oh,
was
yeah.
killed, and that's why
Right.
she was not coming
And
into
that's an
work.
old story, right? But you just put that
And
in, yeah.
the way that she's describing it, it sounds like she's saying that this was a text that she sent the previous week to a different school as opposed to the one that she was now supposed to work at on Monday, January 27th.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
What was significant of that to you?
I was attempting to walk her through her own timeline that she had provided us on the Sunday night burn injuries and then what happened Monday morning. And that was the next logical thing that she should have been describing to me. And then,
Okay.
like you said, she put it back on either Thursday or Friday.
Okay. The reason that she gives in that portion of the interview is that she didn't want to go back into teaching, right?
Yes.
Did she ever say in this part of the interview or any other part of the interview or phone calls having any sort of mental health anxiety issues as related to teaching?
Not that I listened to. No.
Was it more along the lines of she was just not happy in teaching because of the current environment in schools?
Yes.
Following that portion of the discussion, did you ask her to give you a statement about what happens on Monday, January 27th?
I did.
Does she then, in her answer, is this where she asks you, I'm going to need some help from you?
Yes.
Right, Your Honor, we're going to jump to 1 hour, 32 minutes and 47
She's gonna need some
seconds.
help.
And play through 1 hour, 46 minutes and 45 seconds.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Because she thinks she's Kobe Bryant's level, just saying, listen, I don't sign contracts, I don't want.
So tell me about the next morning. then. So now you're at home, Gannon's at home,
Right.
Elena's at school. Tell me what happens then.
Right. So this is where I need help from everybody.
This is where she needs help
And
from
you
everybody,
can get
guys.
help. Like I said, I've had some high-level informants that have told me some horrific things, and we've had to relocate them. We can get different names.
Huh.
But to do that, to kick that in motion, we need to know the story. We can't just say,
Right.
oh, someone got really important information.
Right.
Right,
Well, that's where I would need someone to help guide me through this
yeah.
because
Okay,
I
let's go.
want to help more
She
than
wants to
anything.
help.
But
That's
I'm-
why I'm here, because I'm representing Denver FBI,
Hi,
and
Jaxie
then I
Jax.
have the ability to pull resources from Quantico, which is our behavior analysis unit. Everything comes out of there.
Right.
Come on.
It's called CERD, which is our incident response group. So
Mm-hmm.
this was a big enough case that the supervisor of the FBI asked me to come down from Denver, and I get all my training out there. So
Right.
you're not going to have better resources in this room right now. And I'm not bragging.
Right.
I've just been doing this stuff for a long time.
Right.
Hi, Hawk.
If you tell me what happened and then you need protection, we can do all that stuff. But DEA doesn't have those capabilities, ATF doesn't. No. DEA just investigates drugs, and they're very good at it.
Right.
But the FBI, we're now worldwide, and we have offices.
The FBI is now
to
worldwide.
Russia, to China, to wherever. So we get a lot more funding because of when September 11th happened. That changed everything for us. We were the nation's #1 law enforcement agency before then,
Mm-hmm.
but they gave us so many more resources since then.
Right.
And so I am specialized in
Hold on.
Not like I just need like protection for.
She needs protection.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Well, you can get that, but we have to know the story first.
So how am I supposed to get help talking to someone first before we talk to you? Because I'm willing to do that.
So here's your deal. If you need help, and if you want to go through the court process, that's fine. We leave, and then you work through the court process. But then it just becomes the whole focus of this, Letecia, right now you're the only one. You're the last one. You're the last adult with him. You're the last adult we know about with him. You have not told anybody anything else to lead us. We have been trying to work with Al to say, what does she say in that?
Yeah.
And the Quincy Brown thing and
Yeah.
whatever else.
I was mad at him about all
I was
that.
mad at
But
him. That's why I said
a
the
lot of
Quincy
it was
Brown.
keys to help. I should have.
I'm going to tell you the truth now,
I
but
could
I
have
need
just
help.
reached out to someone to be like terrified for myself. And it would have been. Also, what I can help you with can also help you with something else you might already with. I'm just saying,
Well, Letecia, you've got to give me something here to work with. if you want to go through the court process, like I said on here, the last question, if you want to stop at any time, you are more than welcome to stop and say, I'm
But
done.
it says you can have one present to talk to you.
Yep. And that will kick in the court process and then we're done, which is fine. And if that's what you want. Okay, but the whole, if you need protection and that sort of thing, I can't get you there without you giving me something. So I listened to all the calls with Al, and I've seen the crime scene with those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what happened in the bedroom was not Gannon slinging his blood on the wall.
Well, that's totally like not even to do with anything.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so
That's
like,
totally, all that blood
upset
spatter is
about
not to do with
veterans
anything.
and all those things, because I understand.
I don't
you're
know
an
why you guys are
expert. I know
looking at that.
But I'm telling you that
I'm telling you,
I'm gonna need like
I'm
protection.
gonna need help.
That's it. It's not me. I'm not the person.
It's not me.
So
Not that.
but if you're not the person, the charges won't be different. Okay, if you allowed someone else to come in and do the things to Gannon that we know happened to him, you're just as guilty.
I didn't allow
didn't.
anyone, and I don't know
Mm-mm.
of anything like you're talking about to be happening to Gannon. I do know that there's something I can tell you that can help you, or help me, help everyone. But help.
Well, so let me tell you where I am. Okay. Like I said, I've been 23 years with the FBI. For the last 20, I've been working violent crime. And I've worked some of the worst cases. And
Okay.
it kind of messed me up a little bit, to be honest,
Right.
seeing what I've seen. And I worked 20 years of bank robberies.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought that you were going to have, I'm the FBI, I'm the good guy, bad people go rob banks. And that's not how it is. I've had to help arrest
Hi,
other
Maureen.
FBI agents,
I know this is harsh,
Police
but she
officers,
really looks and
people
sounds
from
like a
church,
witch.
school resource officers. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do.
Mhm.
And on the other side, some of the bank robbers, one of them came out after serving a 10-year sentence, and we had it off just fine, even though, you know, we were on opposite sides of the fence. The thing that I have seen, though, throughout is when something very bad happens, people think they can't recover from it. And I do not think you are a bad person.
I'm not.
That's why I'm here. No, I don't.
I don't think
I've
you're a bad
seen-
person. he
I've
told me.
seen bad
And I know
people
you tell people that to get them to help you,
No,
but
I'm not.
I know you tell
would
people
not
that to get them to help you,
have
she
this
says.
approach with you if I thought you were a bad person. I think something bad happened. And I think that what I've seen a lot, it's whether it's you think that you can get out if you do this or this or this, that's where you are now. And you're hoping that one of these things can save you. They're not going to be able,
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
there was nobody
What
else.
are you talking about,
there.
Willis?
We've looked at the alarms, we've looked at the motions, we've looked at the
Sir,
detectors.
The alarms are already covered up.
The alarms were already
The
covered.
alarms were already covered
Yeah.
up. Okay. But
Sir,
We-
I'm telling you, what you have is not you. I know you say you wouldn't sit here and say this to me if I wasn't, whatever. I'm telling you, it is true. I would not and did not, did not. And with you guys having my phone, I would have thought that you would have had some of the apps looked into. Now, I would have thought that sometimes when you talk to Albert and you listen to him or whatever, it could have been some help and indication. I really did. Because I couldn't come at you and just tell you if you say there's somebody not involved. I could walk you through it and prove it to you, and you guys have already had this predetermination. I don't mean you.
Predetermination.
To you. You guys have already had this predetermination that's what's going to happen.
But she's
It's,
not
it's
gonna
already
help.
in your mindset.
yeah, because we have no other evidence pointing us elsewhere. So if there was a shred of evidence, Letecia, that pointed us to some other person, we would be all over it. As soon as Quincy Brown came out of your mouth, it doesn't take long.
So you know 100% he's in Mexico right
Yes,
now.
we do now. Mhm.
All right.
because we
100%
did
he's
get
in
our
Mexico. This is
legal, we have
crazy.
what's called a legal attaché.
Okay. Where that alone, and I get that you're saying you have someone who looks into that and knows that, that's where I know in my heart that I can't trust to get help. That very least.
You're saying Quincy Brown's not
No,
in Mexico?
that's not what I'm saying. But you would have said another word, like something in between that would have gave that off. Like, you wouldn't have said he's just in Mexico and didn't do anything. You would have said, oh, did he come back here for a reason? You wouldn't have said any of that. You would have known some other things too. Or maybe you have and you just can't tell me those things. And that's okay. But
We don't, in a case like this, so tips will come in, you know, the public will call in. And then, of course, you and Al are primary interest because you're the parents of the missing kid. And most, 90% of the time, when a kid goes missing, it has to do with one of the parents.
90% of the time it
But
has to do with
we
one of the
work- we work
parents
on
when the kid goes
probability.
missing.
okay.
So, and especially with you, then, you're there, you say he went to a neighbor's house. That's the very first thing you say. And then there's no thought that somebody took him.
You
So
said there's no thought,
there's no thought for law enforcement.
but you
When
don't
you-
even
when you-
understand what happened leading up to the days before. Nothing to do with Gannon, nothing to do with, okay, in terms of me and Gannon. I love Gannon with all my heart.
With all my heart.
And so you can sit here and say 90% parents, this.
I'm not saying you don't love him.
I love him.
I'm saying that
I
even
love him.
I have had times when my son rolled the basketball underneath that I wanted to turn around and
Right.
do
but,
something, and
but-
then I would have regretted it later.
But what you're saying to me is, what you think is that I hurt Gannon. That's
And
what
I
you
don't think it was intentional.
Okay, but I didn't hurt Gannon. Okay. And I didn't either intentional or not intentional hurt Gannon. I did not.
She did not
That's
hurt
just
him.
not what
Intentional or non-intentional?
And I had this conversation with you just to see for a second if I could get help from you.
Which you can, but how can you expect me to help you, Letecia, if you're not going to tell me what happened?
Because
You can't go, let me
I'm
tell you,
sorry.
you can unlock the entire resources of the FBI right now. I've told you that. But then you say that you're not willing to do it, whether you don't trust me or you think that there's these
But you
people
already
involved.
told me someone wasn't there based on an alarm.
That's from what we can see. Yes,
Okay.
movement in the basement,
Right.
movement upstairs.
But you've already told me that based on that, okay? But what you're not realizing is there's 2 sensors on that home, okay? Two that can easily be manipulated, easily, okay? And if you even knew
No, she's
anything
not saying
about
that.
prior, you would be thinking a lot differently. But see, that's why I can't talk to you about these things, because you already have predetermined what you
It
think.
doesn't matter what I
You-
predetermined.
But you said intentionally,
listen.
unintentionally, and that's not the case.
She can't
saying I'm
talk to
right
you.
100% of the time. It doesn't, you need to just disregard whatever I think, or really whatever anybody else thinks. If you have a truth, and if you have something that will help us find him, really, the hell with me and everybody else and what we think. You should just cast that aside. All I can follow is the facts of the case as they're told to me. And so for me to go somewhere else besides the facts, I have to then go back to the facts to check it. So when I say something
I'll
like,
talk to you in private, but you can't tell Albert about anything.
She's going
that
to tell him
led
something
to
in
it
private.
or
Can't tell
anyone else.
Albert.
Albert will
But
not
I
know
will
any of this.
understand that, but I will. But I need your help, and I need to know that you tell me those resources, you tell me whatever, okay?
Tell me whatever.
I know you're saying you got whatever, this,
Whatever.
and that, and all that. But I really am going to need help.
Whatever.
A lot. Where do you? Don't base it on some alarm report, because they can easily manipulate it.
Well, we're not just.
They
looking
easily
for
were.
alarm.
I know, I'm saying when you were saying no one else was there.
So
When you say that, don't base it on that, please. I'm begging you. Because that was not even remotely. Was not even. I mean,
Mr. Grusin, I just remind you that you're still under oath.
At the beginning of that portion of the interview, Mr. Grusing, you go through a description of if you allowed somebody else to come into the house and do bad things to Gannon, then you're just as guilty. Why were you going down that path and explaining that to her?
Well, it had to do with the numerous stories that she had told us and Al over the phone, and just whatever complicity she was going to make with me, I was wanting to move more directly towards her involvement. So just saying that if she was going to introduce yet another person,
Another character.
like the last one that she introduced was the pregnant lady, and it didn't really have any legs to stand on.
Right.
I didn't
a
want her to
pregnant
go down
belly
that
to roll
path
on.
again.
So was that you trying to encourage her to talk about her actions as opposed to pointing it out to different people?
Yes.
Okay. What about the discussion you had where you're talking about the good guys and the bad guys dynamic and that whole thing, arresting bank robbers? What was that purpose of that?
To tell Letecia basically that she was a good person and that good people can do bad things.
In that portion of the interview, she says she couldn't just come at you and tell you what had happened. What was your take from that particular point of the interview?
Well, I don't know if this is the same thing you're talking about, but she told me that she had keys or some type of keys she was trying to give us, but that she couldn't tell us directly what happened.
Oh.
And to me, that meant that she had been giving us hints along during the different phone calls through Al, because she had already told me that she knew that I and others were listening.
That's exactly what I was talking about, where she's telling you basically that I've been trying to give hints throughout this whole thing. Were there, in fact, some hints in her various statements?
Absolutely.
Can you give us examples of that, please?
Well, she mentioned that Gannon was not in Colorado in either the phone call on February 19th or 21st. I think it was the 19th. And then she told Al that he's not in the U.S. And we later learned that it's close to being true. She also, as we've spoken of numerous times, described the injuries, and she was even describing time periods that we were interested in, like the night before the 2 trips to Costco and what had happened in between those 2 trips, and then when she would come home, what happened after she arrived back at the house. And yeah, so when you compile them all together, she was describing a lot of what had happened separately through the investigation being done by El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
And when you talk about that it was almost true that Gannon wasn't in the United States, are you referring to where Gannon was later found on the essentially banks of a river that flows into the Gulf of Mexico?
Yes.
Okay, down in Florida. Why did you tell her that you don't think it was intentional? What, in the way you're implying it in that statement is you don't think what she did to Gannon was intentional. Why'd you say that?
Well, in her first statement that I was present for with Al on the 13th of February, she said that Gannon's first injury in her timeline was that he cut his foot on Saturday. And then she went on to other things that had happened. And in my experience with domestic violence, I had seen that an accident might precede something intentional. And I was giving her the opportunity to say that if she wanted to.
Was that essentially you building it out for her to feel better about telling you what actually happened to Gannon?
Yes, and still just trying to find any factual information from her on injuries to Gannon when they might have occurred, and it's much easier to talk about an accident than something intentional.
Okay. The next section that I want to talk about is right after this. Do you remember her talking about she reached out to people to go places?
Yes.
Let's go ahead and play that. It's at timestamps 1:46:45 through 1:48:30. So going directly from here to 1:48:30.
So you care about Gannon?
I care about Gannon. I have reached out every day offering for people to go in these certain places to get even insight, to see. I every day ask, hey, can you go do this? Can someone meet with you?
So you've asked someone to go look for him?
Right, like I reached out and I asked Albert, I said, hey, can you meet me? Let me tell you about this and let's go to this location. So I've asked all these.
What location do you think he's at now, Gannon?
No, I'm just saying like
No,
in
but
general.
I'm asking you.
In
right
general.
now. Where do you think he is right now?
I don't know exactly. I don't know,
Well, where do you know him to
but
life?
I am 99% confident Gannon is alive.
Okay.
99% confident Gannon is alive.
I want to help her, but I'm in a room and you've already talking about all this and the courts and it's me against everybody else.
So here's the deal. Once this thing goes through the courts, you talk about that. You're the only one to be with him. You think you're going to be able to tell a story.
Carolyn,
It
did
might be a
Gannon
true
pass
story.
after stabbing? No, he did
But,
not.
but listen, I've listened to a lot of your stories, and I don't know what else to tell them.
Yeah, okay, that's because I was mad at him. Had nothing, I already knew.
But I've seen what you told the news reporter. I've listened to what you told El Paso about the sex assault that happened in the house.
I already knew that you guys were listening to him.
Yeah.
So I said that because
So-
I was angry.
But what I think I can offer you today is some help.
Okay.
So in the beginning of that portion, Mr. Grusing, she's talking about, she's been trying to reach out to get people to go places. Do you know of any effort she made to reach out to give information, factual information that could be acted on?
I don't.
Yeah, I know, Maureen. It's terrible.
So in this, basically in this interview, do you also go through a portion where you're describing that you're looking at her stories and they're just not making
Right.
sense?
Correct.
I'm going to jump to 1 hour, 51 minutes and 40 seconds and play 1 hour, 56 through 1 hour, 56, 24.
The ones that you've said in the media of hitting your head. When you hit your head, you didn't see what happened. And then when someone else takes Gannon, or when he's riding a bike and he hits his head and stuff
No,
like
I
that.
didn't. I just told you I was saying that to Albert because I was upset that he wasn't listening to me, that I did not hurt Gannon.
I don't think you intended to hurt Gannon at all.
There's no,
No, I'm not saying you did, or he hurt himself. Something bad happened in his room. Have you seen you helped clean it off the wall? We know that.
this here, what you're talking about is completely irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Completely,
Well, then-
completely irrelevant.
Well,
Whatever.
Tell me about
Whatever.
If it's irrelevant, Letecia, help me. Because there's a big blood pool in the corner. There's spray on the wall.
Because if I tell you anything about any of that, all you're going to say to me is, hey, da, 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 da.
If you didn't do it, no, I will be your advocate. Because why do we know each other?
No, but
Why would I care? If you didn't do it and it helps me find Gannon,
I didn't do it.
okay, well then help me find out who did it.
Who did what?
That to Gannon in his
Done
room.
what to Gannon in his room?
There's a pool of blood in the corner.
Okay.
That's Gannon's blood.
Okay. So you're saying now this is where I have a hard time knowing what it is.
There's a hard time with this.
You're not, right? You're saying there's a pool of blood. Albert said saucer size, because I'm sure you had him say all this. 'Cause I'm sure you were there.
Albert said saucer size. I'm sure you had him
Okay.
say all this.
In his room, and you said something about, what'd you say? Then, if that's your whatever, your expert advice or
There's
whatever,
more blood.
okay, then where do you think that I had any involvement with Gannon, and where did he go? That's where it has to click at some point. That
And that's what I listened to you do that to Al, to where
I
you're
didn't do
making him guess what happened to Gannon.
I don't want him to guess.
Well, no,
won't-
you're asking me to guess.
No, I was asking a question, sir. I wasn't trying to get it. I was just saying in general, asking a question. I want help with people understanding. I tried to give any insight, help, clues, anything, but I can't.
She really
because,
tried.
You know, my daughter, everyone, my family,
Her daughter,
my
family.
mom, everyone. And you
Mom.
can think that
But right now, Letecia, I mean, you can go down that road, but it's not going to save you in court
But-
because you're the last adult living,
sir,
and nobody else. Just let me try to
I'm
protect
sorry.
you. I'm not trying to hurt you. This is actually protecting you. If you don't tell us where to go investigate, then nobody's going to investigate for you. You're the last adult living. You told a lot of lies about all these injuries from
not
your
to you. I
foot
didn't tell lies to you or to any police officer.
She didn't tell lies to him or any
to
police
the
officer.
sex assault happened in the house.
I didn't tell any lies to you or a police officer.
We don't have anybody to chase though if we don't chase you. Do you understand?
But if you chase me, okay,
You
and
chase
you
me.
do this to me,
And you do this to me.
people are protected because you guys aren't going to protect everybody. People are protected.
We can protect people. We can protect you, family, if this is involved. Now, I've worked South American death groups. I've worked gangsters. I've worked organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff rings true with what happened here.
Right.
I mean, how is a very organized gang going to come into a house in Colorado Springs?
Who said it? A house? Why does it have to be in the house? See, that's
That's
where
where he
you're not.
last was. Are you going to make me guess where he was then?
No, I'm telling you, you're not going to listen to me.
You're not
You
going to
already
listen to
just
me.
said the last was in the house.
But see, you're going back to you care what I think. You shouldn't care what I
I do
think.
care what you think. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I care about how people think of me because I am not that kind of person.
And
That's why.
And if you can point me to a different person, then I can help you.
I gave him.
So it stopped at 1:56:26. When the discussion about the riding the bike and Quincy Brown came up, she stopped you and said, basically she gives a description of, she was just saying that to Al. Do you remember that portion?
Yes.
Was that her basically admitting that what she had told in that particular story, that Quincy Brown, that whole thing was not true?
Correct.
What about the portion of the discussion where you point out that, are you trying to make Al guess? Are you trying to make me guess? What was your intent of making that distinction there, and what were you trying to get to?
Well, I had asked her a question about the blood in the bedroom, trying to get her to explain that to me. And instead, she posed the question to me that if she was responsible, where was Gannon? It's an open-ended question that only she knew.
Right.
And as I told Letecia, I had seen her do this to Al. Well, I'd heard her do it to Al while we were in the room
phone calls,
multiple
yeah.
times. When it's a direct question, we need an answer, or I needed one for the blood, and instead she's asking me where Gannon is, and she knows that I don't know the answer.
Did it appear from your perspective that was intentionally trying to not give you information as to what happened in the room, or to Gannon?
Yep.
Yes, both.
Did you confront her with web searches?
Yes,
that were
let's
done
listen
on
to
her
this.
Yes.
Wow,
phone?
this
We'll jump to that
was
portion of
game
the interview,
over.
And this is
Game over.
1 hour, 56 minutes and 52 seconds through 2 hours and 10 seconds.
As you know, in here, I even have what you entered in your phone. The stuff that you've entered and deleted. Like blood is spurting from an arterial bleed, direct pressure not controlling.
Do what?
You what?
It's from your phone.
Blood is what?
Spurting from an arterial bleed.
No.
No.
Somebody did from your phone. I don't like my stepson.
No.
I don't like my stepson. Should I get a divorce?
Wow.
Stalk cheating. I'll stalk Instagram. I'll stalk cheating in Colorado Springs.
Al Stock.
Catch I'll stalk cheating.
Catch Al
Got to
Stock.
get blood out of sheep.
Out of sheep?
Mm-hmm. I want immunity.
Get blood out of a
The blood out
sheep.
of sheep was because we always had always nosebleeds.
Oh, that's for
If I ever looked at
nosebleeds.
blood out of
That's what-
sheep, it was nosebleeds.
And I
but
figured it
didn't
might
ever-
be something.
I didn't ever
For
look up
nosebleeds.
anything about an artery or something unless
Artery?
it was
For
from
sheep.
something else.
It's on your phone.
And I never looked up anything about my stepson unless someone else did it.
She
The
didn't do that.
reason I
Someone
brought
else
up
did.
gangs is You looked up, I want immunity because it was gang related.
On her phone about a stepson.
And this sounds like it. Find me a new husband,
Find me a new
find me
husband.
a rich guy who
No.
wants to take care of his kids.
The new husband is just because Albert already knew that was about the lady Debbie Sherrill who wanted to find a new husband after 35 or something. He picked me about Amazon.
And like a lot of these can have nothing to do with this.
He doesn't.
I get it.
And
Can I spray paint wood?
Can I spray paint? Well, you know
Spray
what's
paint
so
wood,
weird
always
there?
do.
I said something. I don't know if I said it out loud in here, but I said when she had that board and things like that, and she had that blood, I said, I'm surprised she didn't grab some spray paint or something and just like spray paint the board like as if it was going to be used in a project or something. You know what I mean? Just paint over it. And then when they said spray paint today, I couldn't believe it.
I'm doing all the work for my stepkids and their mom doesn't help.
Oh, that bothered me. Yeah.
Yeah.
That bothered
Oh,
her.
yes, because I wanted them to be mine. Like,
She wanted them to be hers.
What about it?
me to be their child.
Hit and run? You Googled a lot on Letecia.
Hit and run.
Traffic accident, hit and run.
No, I didn't hit anybody.
No? What was that?
What date was it?
I don't have a date on these. I was downloading stuff as I was coming on the plane.
Yeah, no.
My husband wants a divorce. My husband wants a baby, but I want an abortion. One day, some people will wish they treated you differently, which I get that. Parenting should be for people, not one. Quote the suicidal person might say. I mean, these make me very sad when I read them because I can see you're doing all the work at home by yourself.
Which I wanted to be there. Like, I wanted to totally have the kids as my children.
She totally wanted those
That's
kids
the
as her
point you're
children.
not getting. Like, I wanted those kids to be saying to me that I'm their mom.
Yeah.
Like, I am the person who cares for them, loves them, everything. So you can think that.
What do you do if you suspect a person swallowed poison? Did somebody actually swallow poison?
Poison? I don't know. I always click things and read them.
Oh.
I wouldn't
Did somebody
swallow
swallow it?
I wouldn't swallowed any poison.
You will never forgive me and treat me like a princess. You'll
You'll
never
never
know
forgive
when
me and
it's too
treat me
late.
like a princess.
Oh yeah, I mean, I always search for things when Albert.
She always searches for things like that.
So in that particular portion, you mentioned the immunity. Was there a particular phone calls during the consensual recorded phone calls process where she was also saying the same thing to Al in those phone calls?
Yes, there was. It was one of the earlier phone calls I was involved in.
Did you ask her to describe what injuries Gannon suffered a little bit later after this?
Yes.
I'm going to jump to timestamp 2 hours and 50 seconds. And play through 2 hours, 8 minutes and 55 seconds.
Everything.
If you're not willing to go with who took Gannon, can you at least tell me what injuries he suffered? The true ones. As far as the cut foot, was that a legit injury?
Yes.
And where did that happen?
So he was outside in the garage, and when he was outside in the garage, he was running to go help me take the trash. Take the trash out, come back and help me get stuff out of the car, and then he stepped on something, which I left the blood there. Like, I left it, like, because Albert said, "Don't touch that fine wood or African wood, whatever kind of wood it was."
What did the piece of wood look like? Okay. And it's still there in the garage?
I had to drive over them all the time. Like, I always had to drive over the pieces of wood.
Right. But
Right.
you didn't take that out of the garage?
It's too big. You couldn't fit it in anything. You couldn't fit the pieces. The long boards that were in the garage, you could not fit. I left. Okay, so there was the piece of board that I threw in the back of our truck, and then there was the 2 long boards that were sitting there. So the board that was about like this size, and the board that was the long boards that were sitting here. I left the long boards because that was supposed to be the fancy wood, and I didn't want the wood. We're trying to get the blood off of it. The other piece of wood was the wood that I threw in the back of Albert's truck.
And what was that?
There was a bunch of pieces that were laying around that from that night, from us running through there. It was like little pieces. There was a piece about this size, maybe a couple pieces. But
And
that
you threw it in the back of the truck? That bigger piece?
You said bigger like this. It wasn't that big.
Okay.
Yeah, it was teak wood. Like I knew it was not the wood that he would be freaking out over. So from Sunday, he did hurt his foot from Sunday.
And how badly was it bleeding?
It wasn't. I say Sunday, Saturday. I'm sorry. From Saturday. Albert had just left, like to drive to the airport. He wasn't even gone long.
Mm-hmm.
He had just left to drive to the airport.
Okay.
And
So did it require a Band-Aid? Or?
You know, whenever he always does something, he tries to be like, he's not like Lena where he's like, oh, I need a Band-Aid or whatever. Gannon would literally walk around with toilet paper in the middle of his toe, and it would have blood or whatever, and just run everywhere to his room or whatever.
Yeah. So what did you do on this occasion?
We literally took the paper towel, that's why I just told you about the toe,
Uh-huh.
and put it in between.
So it was in between his toes is where the injury
No,
was?
it was like wrapped here.
Okay.
We had it wrapped.
Okay, I think we're
And I don't remember
gonna
if we got a Band-Aid.
end that. Tomorrow we'll go over the rest of this. That way we don't have too much to do, and I'm kind of feeling a little sleepy. So I think I'm going to save it where it is. We'll go over it tomorrow, because I'm going to go get some rest. I have a big day tomorrow. But I'll be around tomorrow night. We'll definitely go over the rest of that, all right? Thank you guys for coming in, and we'll go over that. We'll go over any other headlines and whatever. And that's what's on tab. Boo hiss. I'm falling asleep. Sorry, Delano. It's been a long day, but tomorrow we'll have time to go over it. All right? And then see you. God bless. Prayers for all. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay? All right, everybody. Take care. Have a good night. Good day, wherever you are.